Perfect. Welcome to Hellworld Heist. This is a one-shot adventure for the Mongoose Traveler Second Edition. So Traveler has been around almost as long as Dungeons and Dragons. It came out in the late 70s. It was probably the second role-playing game that ever came out, and it's been going ever since. And they've had multiple versions. So when I was a kid, I remember seeing it in the store, and it was a series of small little black books, like little digest-sized magazines, all soft covers, just black with the word Traveler and you know, combat or character creation, just little booklets. And sometimes you'd find them in a box set, and I was always fascinated by it. But the one time I flipped through it, I'm like, there's no art. It's all math and tables, and like, what is this? And I decided this, I don't know about this. Well, then they've had several other versions since then. Game Design Workshop put out a version or two. There's been a few others. And then just recently, Mongoose got the license and have produced first edition, and now they're on second edition. And it is prolific. Like I've got a whole bookshelf full of Traveler books just for second edition, and I don't have them all. And a lot of them are ones that you don't need. But if you get into Traveler, like, man, you want them just because they're so cool to look at and to read and think about. So Traveler is it's a science fiction game. In fact, in the journals on Foundry, I have a Traveler lore tab. Let's kind of pull that up. I'm going to post a picture from there. I'll put it in the chat as well. So this is the Milky Way, and you can see down kind of at the bottom, there's a big red blob, and that says charted space. So that's where we are, is that little red blob above where it says charted space in the Milky Way. And then this map here, this is that red blob. And if you look kind of on the left-hand side, you can see it looks like a crab claw coming up. And like the arm, just before you reach the claw, that says the Great Rift, but just before the claw, there's a spot in there called the Trojan Reach, and above that is the Spinward Marches. We're going to be in the Trojan Reach. So we're in a very small sector of a very small spot in the Milky Way galaxy. And this is all of the area that has been charted since people began to explore the cosmos. So Traveler takes place, they call it science fiction adventure in the far future. It's about 3,500 years from now. In fact, the year by the reckoning of the people in Traveler is 1105. It's the Imperial year. And the Imperium is just this vast empire. There's 11,000 worlds across 21 different sectors, and every sector has subsectors and dozens of star systems. Basically, it's huge. What you do as a Traveler is you can play this many different ways. So originally, and sometimes people still do, they call it spreadsheets in space, because if you dig math and you love like calculus and algebra, this is the game for you, because you can calculate the albedo of a planet like nearby, and you can create a world and determine the tidal forces, and there's formulas for all that stuff. There's a whole world builder's book. But not everyone likes to do that, and we're not going to do that. But you can, if that's the kind of Traveler you want. You can play like a hardcore, like science fact, like Star Trek sort of game, where you're just out exploring strange new worlds. You can play a game where you are part of the Imperial Navy, and you're out hunting down pirates on the borders of Imperial space. You can play those pirates and be running from the Imperial forces and raid shipping and things like that. What most people do is they run sometimes they'll call the Firefly campaign. In fact, the show Firefly is based on Joss Whedon's Traveler game that he played before he wrote the show. And so you're essentially space bums. You're washed out officers, scientists, you had a career and maybe things turned south and, you lost your job, you got kicked out, or you just left on your own accord. And you decide to make a name for yourself. And so you try and get a ship. Maybe you're renting a ship, or, you're making payments half the time, but you get a ship and you go off and you have adventures. And that's kind of what we're going to do. We're all not misfits, but essentially we've had better times, and we're now going to ply our hand as, you know, mercenary slash explorer slash adventurers. And so if you open up your character sheet, let's go ahead and take a look at the sheets together. At the there's some terrible art. Traveler is well known for having terrible art. So these pictures are from the actual Traveler starter set, which is now discontinued, but this is the sort of art that you can expect. At the top, you'll see you have 6 attributes: strength, dexterity, endurance, intelligence, education, and social. And your numbers will be typically between like 3 and 18, and then there's going to be a modifier, like a plus or a minus or a 0. Really what we're looking at is the modifier. So if you make like a strength roll, you will add that modifier, and if it's a negative number, you'll subtract it from your dice roll, and then you take whatever the result is. So just like a skill in, you know, Dungeons and Dragons or something, you would add that modifier. We will use those attributes sparingly. Mostly we'll probably use skills, but I may ask you, you know, give me a dexterity check. If you click on, or if you see below, you've got like speed, size, rads, like how much radiation you've had. We're not going to use any of that. Let's go down to skills. There's a whole giant list of skills. Some of them will have little check marks next to them. Those are ones that, as this character was generated, you have gained those skills. Essentially, again, we're looking at the modifiers. If you do not have a check mark, unless you're Vate, and I'll explain him in a second, you should have a -3 in all your skills. That means you don't know anything about admin or, you know, leadership. You'll have a -3. So when you roll the dice, it will calculate in that -3 for you. If you have the basic knowledge of a skill, you should have the box checked, and you'll have a 0, which means there's no penalties, but there's also no pluses. If you are, you know, better than the average person at that, you might have a 1. If you're incredibly skilled, you'll have a 2. And if you're the top of your field, like known throughout, you know, multiple planetary systems, you might have a 5. We are kind of starting out, so most of us will have -3s, 0s, 1s, and maybe a 2 here or there. Now, Vate has a special skill. It's Jack of all trades, and I think you have 2 levels of that. So that all of your skills that were -3, they go up, and so you don't have any that are -3 because of your Jack of all trades, and I think you're the only one that has that. If you need to roll a skill, and I'll let you all kind of try that out, you just click on the name of a skill, and then it will ask you, you get to add in one of your attributes. Now, the cool thing about Traveler is you choose what attribute, depending on kind of what you're doing. So let's say that you're doing let's do an electronic sensors. Maybe, so I've got Danville opened up. Let's say if I open up sensors, it says education plus my electronic sensors. Well, Danville has 0. Well, his education gives him a +3, so I really want to use that. But let's say that he is trying to, you know, maybe do something with this skill that wouldn't involve education. Like maybe he needs to use his intelligence to determine, because this is not a system he's familiar with, and I might say roll that with your intelligence, and so then you would select education and change it to intelligence. But then your goal, you're just trying to get an 8 or higher, and it's on 6-sided die. So Danville, I'll just roll the dice for you, and you got a 10 plus your bonus, which was 3, so you got a 13. So you got 5 higher than an 8, and so it'll say average success, and then it shows a +5. So the +5 is your effect. That's just how much more than the goal you got. Really, all we're concerned about is did you succeed or not. Sometimes we'll do a task chain where multiple skills will depend, you know, like we're working together, and in that case you see a chain bonus below Danville's success as chain bonus +2, so the next person to roll would get a +2 modifier on that roll. And we'll probably have a few of those task chains that we will do. If Danville didn't roll above 8 with the modifier, then it would have been a fail, and then that may impose a penalty on the task chain. Any questions to this point? How to roll? If anyone wants to try a roll, go ahead and try a roll. You can choose whatever, if you want to roll a skill or an attribute, and just make sure you kind of understand. You just click on the skill, and then it will show, you know, what stat you want to use. Perfect. So Arnvate succeeded on astrogation. And usually the difficulty is going to be 8, but sometimes it's less. Miranda, you failed. You rolled a 5, so you were 3 below an 8. Jamie also failed. Randall succeeded, and Talix succeeded. So that's exactly how you do it. So you got that. Let's go to equipment. It's the tab next to skills. Some of you have weapons. Not everyone does. Some will have knives. I think someone has a rapier. One person has an energy gun, and one person has an assault rifle. And it's when we get into combat, it's kind of the same idea. You can click on that weapon. In fact, if you have a weapon or armor, it should show up now beneath your character's picture. You'll see armor, how much protection it has, or if there's a weapon, kind of what your weapon can do. If we get into combat, it's the same idea. You're rolling, if it's a melee weapon, your melee skill. If it is an energy weapon, you're rolling your gun combat, and then there's an energy weapon specialty. Again, it'll factor all of that into play. The take home from this is it's going to be skill based. You're going to roll skills to do things. It's also how you level up. There's no levels. This is a skill based improvement, just like Call of Cthulhu or like Dragonbane or RuneQuest or other games. You just get better at your skills through experience points. And at the end of a session, you typically get 1 experience point that you can put towards improving a skill. The finance won't come into play. If you look at the biography, there's going to be a little bit of good information there. So the first thing is notable ability. What is your character really good at? And then there's a little bit of background on there, and then there's just kind of some skills, sort of, again, what do their skills specialize in? So I'm looking at Danville's, and it says, he's basically an ex-scholar. He was very well educated. He's got this +3 education bonus. Under skills, it says, yeah, he's the scientist. He's good with everything from astrophysics to planetology. So this will give you an idea of what your character's good at, so when we get into play, how you're going to proceed from there. Alright. And I am also playing some official Traveler soundtracks here, which is exciting. So in fact, I've got the Pirates of Drinax soundtrack. Let's get that playing. There we go. Okay, so I've also got in the journals, I've got the Traveler lore that kind of talks about the world. There's how to play Traveler. This just basically explains what we talked about. When you roll 2d6, you add your modifiers. If it's a skill, you add your skill modifier, plus you add a characteristic modifier, and generally you're trying to roll higher than 8. But sometimes I'll say you need to beat a 6, or you need to beat a 4. But generally it's going to be 8. And then I've got some Traveler aids. These are just some useful tables if you're interested in, the math and how things work on here. The nice thing with Foundry is it does most of the math for us. But you didn't come here to learn all about the math. You came here to learn how to play. So let's go ahead and get started. This adventure comes from a book that it will soon be released. It's already out in PDF, but it's not yet out in print. It's Reach Adventure number 9, the Hellworld Heists. And this has, I believe, 6 different heist adventures in it. And this is the first of those 6. And so we will get started from there. Any questions before we get going?
Yeah, straighten Jamie back up. I'm trying to work a trackpad to get, because I can't, whatever's going on with my Mac and my mouse ball, I've yet to work out how to expand the maps or shrink them. So I'm messing around with a trackpad, and it's made it go sideways.
She's over there breakdancing.
Yeah.
Do you have like page up and page down on a Mac?
I do, but for some reason that doesn't work either. Oh, hang on a minute. Let me try that. I think it's Control plus page up. Oh, there we go. Oh, that works.
Is that working for you?
Okay. Yep. Oh, my God.
Perfect. Crisis averted.
Yes.
All right. Let me grab my notes and we'll get going here. All right. I'm going to show a picture. The scene opens with a wide establishing shot of the planet Theve, against the backdrop of space. That's Theev. Most believe Thieves to be a myth, the fabled Thieves' Port, the pirates' refuge where lawlessness is king and the Imperium's police cutters and patrols cannot reach. Some tales place it in District 268, others in the middle of the Great Reft, others in Vargar space. In truth, Thieves is quite real and just as lawless and dangerous as the stories claim. The planet is an unremarkable dust ball, similar to Mars on a good day. The main city, Black Sand City, is built on top of a series of plateaus linked by sealed walkways. Ships are landed out of sight in the chasms between the plateaus. Bars and other entertainments are built into the sides of these chasms. Anything and everything is for sale in Thieves. The city's main business is supplying raiders with weaponry and fencing stolen goods, especially cargo stolen from traders heading for the Florian League or the Aslan Hierit. Thieves' shipyards are infamous, producing advanced models of Corsair and equipping pirate vessels with cutting-edge military-grade weapons. The city is lawless, but the pirate lords who rule it punish those who use excessive violence. Stab some fool in a bar and the body can be dumped down the chasm and forgotten about. But bring anything heavier than a laser pistol to a fight, and you'll be down that chasm with your throat cut, faster than you can say, "My, the pirate lords of Black Sand City certainly have efficient assassins working for them." Thieves' survival is something of a mystery. It is only 3 parsecs away from the military base at Realgar, easily within range of patrols. Any number of Aslan warriors has sworn to wipe out that den of thieves and vipers, and while most of these are idle boasts, an aggressive Aslan could make it across the sector and strike at Thieves. Then, too, there is the mystery of how Thieves started, and how it is always well stocked with the latest weapons and ship parts. Someone is behind Thieves, someone who is an enemy of peace and civilization in the Trojan Reach. Our story begins at Thieves Highport, and the Highport is a starport that is above and in orbit of the planet. The Thieves Highport is quaintly known as the Skull, due to the fact that it is formed in the rocky, craggy remains of an orbiting moonlet. You have been invited to meet with a well-dressed woman who sits rather stiff and rigid in a booth at the bar and lounge at the Grand Hotel, the finest accommodations Thieves' bustling Highport can provide. "A formal introduction is in order," she says, as she invites you into her booth and buys you a round of drinks. "I am Lady Ada Wiseheart, noble of Orsach," and I have a picture of Lady Ava. "I am Lady Ada Wiseheart, noble of Orsach, a planet under the heel of the Federate. I am looking for a team I can trust with a matter of importance. What do you know of the Senless Federate, and what do you know of GD Co.?" I'm going to have one of you give me a roll for this. Let's have Randall. I'm going to have you give me a roll. This is going to be a streetwise roll. Or sorry, not a streetwise roll. A leadership roll. Excellent. So you needed an 8 and you got it. So you, in your time, you have heard of the Senless Federate. You're an ex-Navy officer. I'm going to give you a handout. Where is it? Figure ownership. Made a handout available. What you know about the Senless Federate consists of 3 planets, or 3 systems, Orsach, Senless, and Magan. It's a small independent trading and defense alliance. The Federate is an aggressive and expansionist state dedicated to the exploitation of several nearby worlds for the benefit of the main world of Senless. Essentially, people there hoard water. They drug the water supply, which they use to manipulate the emotions of the population. These stimulants are used to drive military recruitment and aggression, while a downturn prompts sedatives and appetite suppressants. So they control people through water.
Familiar with the Sinless Federate and their love for water.
Well,
Why do you ask?
What do you know of GDCO? And GDCO, everyone would know about GDCO. GDCO is a mega corporation, and I'm going to make a. There's a handout that should be available under the Journals tab. But GDCO, the General Development Company, is a semi-commercial corporation chartered to both conduct interstellar trade and develop a higher technological base within its area of operations. Essentially, they go around trying to improve the lot of everyone's life in areas like the Trojan Reach, where we are. It's governed by a board. They're generally on the up and up, but people are leery of mega corporations because they, while they do much good, ultimately it's the bottom line. It's the stock price. What are they worth? And their help only goes as far as it's profitable. When you ask about knowing about the Senless Federate, she says, "Look, I'm hiring a team to steal a GDCO asset in the Albi system. If you pull that off, I'll have more work for you in the Federate. Each of the jobs pay 100,000 credits upon completion, with a further 50,000 bonus after all is said and done. The first job is a train heist. If you can handle that, meet me at Albi Highport. There I'll give you details on the job and have my broker help you with any expenses the job requires." And she stands up and she slides a small digital voucher across the table. It's a little piece of thin plastic. It's like we might see with a credit card with the little chip in there. It's similar to that. She slides it across. She says, "This is passage to Albi. No questions asked." She gets up, she gives you a curt nod, and she walks away. And you're left at the table with your drinks and possibly more questions than you started with. I'll let you discuss.
GDCO's not a simple target. If we pull this off, might draw some heat to us.
That is absolutely the truth.
Yeah, but only if they find out it's us.
Naturally, someone from the Navy would say that us scouts, we're more wily. I think we can do this.
Then we need to come up with a good plan.
Well, I think we need to know more about this train first.
Need to know more about everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's agreed. We learn more. We meet with her man.
Let me
Agree.
take us to a new map. I'll kind of show you where we are. So this is a map of the Trojan Reach. This is one of the or each of these larger rectangles are subsectors in the Trojan Reach. And here in the kind of the middle is Theve. This is where we are. So this red line, and I can draw on here. This red line that, oops. Okay. Won't let me draw. There we go. Okay, let me erase that. This red line here. This is Imperial. The Imperial border. Everything to the right of that's Imperial space. That's the Third Imperium. Up here at the top is the Senless Federate. This is the area that she's talking about. Albi, that planet where she wants us to meet, is right here. It's right on the edge of Imperial space and very near the Senless Federate. Now, there's a few things that you can pull off of this map. So, if we look at Thieves, so first of all, Thieves has a big yellow circle around it. So this is just a little traveler lore. That yellow circle means this is an amber zone. This is a place where there might be a travel advisory. Like the Imperium might say, don't go to Thieves, there's unrest. Or maybe there's, a disease. Or maybe the radiation's really high. Like, we don't want our citizens going to Thieves. There's a little, it looks like Saturn. That means there's a gas giant there. If you're flying a starship, you can skim the atmosphere of a gas giant for hydrogen and don't have to pay for fuel. So a lot of people will plot their travel based on where gas giants are. The red star means that there's another naval base here. It's not an Imperial naval base. This is essentially like the pirates. There's some, capital ships and things around the Thieves area. Because it's border. It's, this is the frontier, just outside the Third Imperium. If we look at Albi, the only thing really noticeable about Albi is there's a gas giant. There's no Imperial naval base. There's no Imperial scout base. It is like, 100 years ago, it was like the border of, the wilderness. For those of us in the U.S., it's like middle of Wyoming somewhere. For Tina, it's like, the middle of the outback. It's like no one goes there unless they have a reason to be there. So it's a perfect place to pull off a heist because the Imperium's not going to be there. They're more focused on the more wealthy planets inside the Imperium. This is just right on the border, and there's not a lot of eyes watching this. And you think that it's probably, it's a one spaceship town. Probably a good reason why they've chosen this as the location. Now the downside. So this is far away from where you are. In fact, you don't have a ship, but ships have jump numbers. Jump 1, jump 2, jump 3. To get to Albi, you need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 hexes, that's 155 trillion kilometers. You can, realistically, with a jump 2 ship, you can travel 2 hexes, or about 66 trillion kilometers in 1 week using jump space. It's going to take you at least 2 weeks to get there. If you have a jump 2 ship, you have to do a single jump here, probably another jump to Dolberg, and then another jump to Albi. So that would take you 3 weeks. So you've got time during the trip to kind of ask, like, is we sure we want to do this? Like, what could we find out about this information? But you really won't know till you get to Albi, I think, what's going on. So anyway, that's just kind of a primer on the Traveler world.
If we're able to get a ship, would it have a fuel skimmer?
So she offered you a voucher for travel. It's most likely going to be probably not a low berth, which means they put you in cryosleep. It's going to be a standard berth on basically a commercial liner. Someone that's traveling to the area. Maybe they're on their way to Cordelon, and they'll stop in Albi to get fuel, and you can get off there at the high port, and they'll continue on. But she's giving you free passage to get to Albi if you want to take it.
I think that's probably the best option. Then we don't have to worry about trying to navigate ourselves.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you've got transportation there, and it sounds like once you're there, they'll give you, if you need supplies or weapons or whatever you can come up with. And plus they'll have that information, exactly what the target is, what you're supposed to steal, what asset you need to steal from GDCO, and how. So do we take the trip to Albi?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do some
definitely.
research along the way, like on trains and things like that.
So generally in Traveler, when you go into jump space, if you're flying, someone has to make an astrogation roll to kind of plot the course. And there's a whole section of the math. You have to be 100 diameters from a large body, and we're not going to worry about that. But if that kind of stuff floats your boat, it's in this game. Someone makes an astrogation roll, someone makes a piloting roll. Thankfully for us, we don't have to do that because we've got passage. So all that we do is when we prepare to go into jump space, once we're a suitable distance away from Thieves, the ship will lower the windows because it's not meant for people to see the inside of a hyperspace bubble. And it's like how the Navy determined, the dive tables for people that want to go scuba diving, how long you can be underwater before terrible things happen. They learned this by sending people down and seeing, oh, he didn't die, so I guess that's safe for people. Oh, that guy, has an aneurysm, so we're not going to let him go under there. That's how they did it. And that's how they determined that flying through hyperspace, you should not look out the windows. And so they close everything down, so you're basically isolated. And what your jump drive does is it converts hydrogen into a singularity, creates a bubble of hyperspace around you, and you travel through this bubble. And nothing bothers you. There's no communication in, no communication out until you leave jump space. And so you have nothing to do but read and study and prepare yourself. And so in the game, a lot of how you improve your skills is this is your downtime. And it may take you several weeks to improve skills, but oh hey, we're going to spend 2 weeks doing this, so I'm going to improve my skills. I've got 2 weeks worth of improvements. So that's kind of how you spend jump space. But your ship also has a computer on there. It's got all the latest Netflix movies. It's got everything you ever want, all the entertainment's there. But you are just kind of stuck on the ship for a week until you land. We're going to Indiana Jones redline that right to Albie. But again, if say you're doing a campaign, a lot of fun stuff goes on during jump space and jump time. And especially if you go into a low berth, which is deep freeze, the cryo berth, because there's a chance you don't survive. Not everyone wakes up from cryo berth, but that's the cheap fare. If you don't have money, that's how they transport you. But ours has been paid for, so we've got time to do some studying. And so while we're traveling there, we learn some information from the ship's computer, and I'm going to make this available under the handouts. This is about the Albie system. And so the Albie system is in the Trojan Reach. Now there's some numbers in front of there, A540, A983, and that all means stuff in Traveler. The A talks about the type of starport. The next number is the size of the planet, the atmosphere, what the water situation is, the population, the type of government, the law level, the technology level, all these things. You can just pull out of that code. And people that are total Traveler nerds can look at that and know right away, oh, I know everything about that planet. For me, I mostly look at the first one and the last one. The first one tells me, is it a good high port? A is a really good high port. It's excellent. So the starport there is really good. The planet is probably kind of trashy. In fact, the air is thin and tainted. You would need breathers. It's a desert world. There's a lot of people there. It's probably very poor. There is the law level is a little high, and it's probably because it is in imperial space and it's on a border. They try to restrict. They don't want bad elements moving into that border, so they restrict what you can just openly carry in Albie. But that will only come into play if we are going to be seen by the locals while we're here, or if we're going to be going in stealthy. That may vary the approach. The other thing we look at is the technology level. This is above average, so there's actually higher tech stuff here. Again, it's kind of weird for a desert world to have that, but this is where a lot of people from outside the Imperium might come to trade and do business, and so they've made a living off of having top shelf stuff in this faraway place. So Albie is a poor, industrial, high population desert hellworld with 1 billion or more sophonts. Sophonts is just a species that has language, struggling to survive in an inhospitable environment. Hellworlds often offer daily and sometimes hourly life-threatening situations to their inhabitants. There is no freestanding water. As an industrial world, this planet has well-developed manufacturing and processing industries. Manufactured goods are a major export item. There's some information on here. It's a binary star system. There are 2 stars, and our planet happens to orbit one of those stars. And the travel guide. Of the billions on Albie, few are there by choice. The atmosphere is a whirl of burning chlorine and desiccated salts, driven by the tidal dance of rocky moons and binary stars into thundering typhoons of electrically charged dust blowing across vast deserts. It is an unpleasant place. Despite this, Albi was once prosperous. Thanks to an abundance of valuable minerals during the height of the Sindalian Empire, no planet was rich, but with success came hubris. A planet that could support millions ended up hosting 90 billion. Glimmering, grav-supported hive cities rose like mountains above the salt-choked wastes, fed by an endless supply of eager ships. When Sindel fell, Albi fell with it. No bombs were launched, no troops were landed. There was no need. Nature took its course. The Dukes stood by and did nothing as the planet fell into a decade-long cannibalistic feast that took the lives of over half its population. It took centuries of war to stabilize things. A bureaucracy arose serving Duke Gorlun III, although soon became merely a figurehead awoken from stasis to sign paperwork. The bureaucracy's austerity put an end to generations of famine, but only after joining the Third Imperium and trading lanthanum for ships and support could the planet count itself successful once more. Despite holding on to its high technology base, the modern hive cities of Albi are crowded and used. Billions churn through Spartan halls, stretching services to their breaking point. The planet is wealthy, but its people are not. Those who can afford to leave do, and the planet's GDP goes towards maintaining infrastructure and terraforming nearby Cordelon to relieve the planet's population pressures. Beyond the cities, Albi is a graveyard. The desert has reclaimed much, but skyscrapers, megastructure husks stand like bones in choking salt dust. Billions died here, and when the wind howls just right, the salt, mummified bodies of cannibals and their victims are unearthed to dance upon the winds once more. Sounds like a very pleasant place.
I'd say Jamie would be quite familiar with cities like this.
Oh, yeah.
Just from her biography.
Yep.
But Tina doesn't like the idea of it at all.
Yeah, we were talking about kind of being out in the outback. This is probably a little worse than that. This would be pretty rough out there. However, the high port is quite nice, and that's where you make your landing, is in the high port. And when you're there, you find an invitation waiting for you at the luxury hotel Haven Spires. When you arrive to the hotel, Ada's penthouse is exquisitely decorated, featuring high-tech luxury such as a biotech garden, anti-gravity hot tub, and a real-time holographic projection of the planet. While you're there, you receive high-class accommodations on her floor, but she quickly gets down to business. Give you one more handout here. She says, "This is our objective. I want you to kidnap GDCO Director Skylark Tanlin. He's responsible for the trade deal between GDCO and Senless. If we're going to do anything about it, we need him. Now, unless you feel like raiding a high-security corporate habplex, the best time to capture him is when he's on the move. Lucky for us, he routinely takes the grav-train as part of his work here. It won't be easy. The trains are monitored at all times, with one exception." And she gives you handout number 2. With one exception. She gestures to the hollow projection of the world below where a storm rages. The salt dust wastes have frequent electrical storms. The trains are proofed against damage, but it disrupts their communications. In 3 weeks, Tanlin's train is going to hit just such a storm. Your job will be to bring him to me in the wasteland nearby. She calls over one of her other assistants, a perky, dark-haired sword worlder. And a sword worlder, their worlds are kind of like Scandinavian countries, the Viking sorts of people. She's got her hair in braids and Probably has some runic symbols on a necklace around her neck. To assist you, I'm going to introduce you to my broker, Ingabel. Anything you think you might need, explosives, bribes, plas cutters, vehicle rentals, anything. Just explain to Ingabel what role it plays in the plan, and she'll do her best to get it for you, no charge. Any questions? So you've gone from picking up an asset to essentially corporate kidnapping.
Yeah, I was thinking that. A heist of a person who is presumably well guarded.
Now you can see by the information she gave, Director Tanlin, he is an 82-year-old male, but he appears much younger. He disappeared for over a decade, but then returned a changed man. He was anti-corporate before that, but after that return, he is GDCO's biggest supporter, and he had a promotion to match. He spearheaded the megacorporation's infrastructure plans and traveling to exploitable worlds, getting them to sign up. The trade delegation sent him to Drenax, which is a nest of pirates, to bring them into the fold, and he was unceremoniously driven out by only just crowned King Oleb the 16th. In the aftermath, he resigned to make an attempt on the Senless Federation, which was a backwater compared to Drenax. He mentions that he enjoys strong and exotic drink, cute or regal animals, and when disparate parts come together to form a greater whole. He dislikes Hyrit Aslan. The Aslan are a species of sophonts, or intelligent beings. They, you think of like tiger people, so they like Thundercats sort of thing. But they're very tall. They're taller than humans. They did not come from Earth cats. These were independently evolved, but they are essentially feline. This is in stark contrast to Vargur. Vargur are like dog people, like canines. Think like Baston Bloodjaw from Dragonbane. They came from Earth canines, and it's said that there was this race called the Ancients that tens of thousands, if not longer, years ago, they took humans and they seeded them throughout much of the galaxy, and they took a liking to dogs on Earth, and they seeded them as well, and they have since evolved into speaking, intelligent, and technologically advanced dog people. And so in Traveler, you can play a Vargur, or you can play an Aslan, or you can play a human.
And of course, you can't forget the orca people.
And there are orca people, there's dolphin people, there's like all sorts of stuff that you can play. Anything you can imagine, it can be in here. The real question, though, is this grav-train and how that is going to go down. What you'll need to do is a grav-train is a gravitic monorail system. It runs self-supported above the wastelands below. When a train approaches, rail segments use gravitics to push matter away that creates a vacuum for the train to pass through at extreme speed. Storms can sometimes overwhelm the repulsors, so trains are armored to withstand impact and interference. The trains are generally 12 cars long. At the front is the engine, and then the engineer's car. Behind that are 6 passenger cars. Behind those is a crew car, and then 3 luxury cars. And they're all connected by airlocks. And cars can be detached just like trains, in our age. And at the rear are 2 cargo bays, or cargo cars with bay doors that open gull wing style. And each car carries 6 luxuriously, 25 comfortably, or 50 if you can't afford a better ticket. Skylark Tanlin is very wealthy. Most likely he is going to be in a luxury box, probably by himself.
It's the rearmost luxury car, but there will be 2 storage cars, like two luggage cars behind him.
Yes. Yep. So you don't want to take the last car. That's going to be full of luggage. And so, in fact, I can take us. I've got a big map here of the train.
But could we be luggage? You
could be luggage. Yeah. So this is the whole point of this is to come up with a plan, and then we will see the plan to fruition. That's. I have no idea what you guys will do, how you'll go about doing it. That's the fun part of a heist, is coming up with the plan. So he is most likely in this cart here, the third from
Yeah.
the end. The two G cars, those are cargo cars, but he's most likely in this car right here. Traveler is a game where you can definitely split the party. You don't need to all go together. Combat is also incredibly dangerous. We, just like in real life, humans are very squishy. Same thing in Traveler. So, you may not want to go in guns blazing unless you have to. Maybe smarts will win the day. So, you've got about three weeks to decide how, before the storm hits, where they think this will be the best time to go in. Yes, what was that, Hunter?
Randall, having been a naval officer, has a pretty good idea as far as how ships go, traveling vehicles in space, atmosphere.
Absolutely.
He would have a good idea as far as how to board this train if we so choose. How likely is it that we'd be able to do that without detection?
Depends on how you want to board. So there's definitely some different options. You could, sneak in during the storm when there's no communications. In other words, that they can't radio for help, and probably their sensors will be down. Try and sneak in under cover of a storm and gain access to the train. Or you could try and sneak onto the train, as a passenger, or you could even try and go as like a crew member. You got 3 weeks, go get a job, and maybe you get assigned to that route, and then you're a steward on this train, or maybe you're helping with the cargo or something. So a lot of different ways we can do this. If you need any equipment, Ingabel will happily provide that. She tells you that she's got a few different vehicles at your disposal. She's got some dirt bikes that would be essentially, just like a little motorcycle. There are air rafts. These are a little larger. In fact, you could fit all of us in there. These levitate. They can actually go up into orbit as long as you have a vac suit, because they are open air. They're convertibles, but these would go fast enough they could follow along the train. There's also the Gecko all-terrain assault vehicles that you could take as well. She says you can take as many of these as you like. To use these, those with the correct skills will have an easier time of it. To use the little motorcycle, the dirt bike, that's going to be a drive wheel skill. To use, same with the Gecko all-terrain assault vehicle. To use the air raft, basically the hover car, that's going to be flyer. What is it? Flyer grav, I think, is the skill for that. Yeah, flyer grav is the skill for the air raft. So if
I have a 1 in grav.
So that's pretty good. So you'll get a +1 modifier. So you would be a good pilot of the air raft if you want to use an air raft. That's if you want to take the whole team, or you could, you could still have people on the train and maybe someone boarding from the outside. But she's got those vehicles available to you. As far as other bits of equipment, she opens up. She's got a whole mess of different types of armor. There's flak jackets, there's protection suits, there's a vac suit. She's got different weapons. She's got a whole rack. There's assault rifles, auto pistols, frag grenades, a laser carbine, a laser pistol, plastic explosives, a shotgun. She's got different fighting knives, a static blade, a stealth dagger, stun grenades, a stun stick. She's got other equipment available. I think all of you have a filter mask, but she's got more of those. There are infrared light and light goggles, help you to see in the dark. There's mobile comms. I think everyone probably has some of those. There's electronic pulse generators that can fry electronic circuits. Military systems would be offline for a few minutes, but this would fry any sort of civilian electronic circuits. Lots of different bits of equipment. So you get to do a little shopping, and again, Lady Ada is paying for this. So whatever you need, Ingabel will try to make it happen.
We get to keep it afterwards?
Ingabel says that is up for negotiation.
That's definitely something Jamie would have asked.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we all need the grav suits if we're going to be out? Like, if we're going to be out in the atmosphere, is that right?
You would be just fine without a suit, but you would need a filter mask, and I think you all have a filter mask in
Yeah.
your equipment. That's pretty much standard issue. Everyone carries one because you never know what the world's going to be. And you know that this one would be toxic. If you were to lose your mask or if the mask became damaged, you would struggle to, one, to get oxygen, but two, your lungs would just get fried from all of the acids and corrosive salts in the air.
Is that something that we could have a second one on us
Absolutely.
in case we lose the first one?
Yep.
So perhaps that would be really wise to have a second one of those just as a start.
Yeah, let me put that. I'll put it in the chat, and then if you want one of those, you should just be able to drag it onto your. Oops, it said that's from Airraft. That was from me. Drag that onto your character sheet. In fact, I can make the weapons. Let me make all of this observable. That might make it easier to do some shopping. So then if you go to items, like weapons, let me make the equipment observable. You should all be able to see all of that. And I think then you can just drag it from there onto your character sheet if there's something you want. If it's, I mean, this, let's not go crazy and, you know, take one of everything, but whatever you think your character might do best with.
Jamie's got a 1 in slugs, so if she could take some sort of weapon, which
so
one
you
would
probably
that?
want like assault rifle, auto pistol. You wouldn't want the laser stuff. Shotgun would be good with that. The laser stuff you want the energy weapons. They generally do a lot more damage, but they're harder to operate. You typically wear a small pack, like a backpack or a hip-mounted pack, and there's a cord that runs out to your weapon. Versus, you know, a normal gun, you'd have magazines that you could swap in and out.
Now, just from a research point of view, say we're in the train station or whatever, you know, like if we're carrying weapons, I know Jamie's got a knife that's specifically a ceramic knife that she can carry through most identification
so
stuff.
X-ray and stuff would not detect that. So other things, you're going to have to probably try and sneak onto the train or bribe your way through security. There will be rolls for that.
Yeah.
So
I just took an auto pistol. I'll just tuck it in my waistband.
Perfect.
Back of my pants.
Put the safety on.
Shoot my own ass.
Any other questions on gear? Anything? Anyone having difficulty picking up any new gear that you might want?
Where do we find it all?
So on Foundry, on the upper right-hand toolbar, you'll see it looks like a little suitcase. If you click on that, that's items, and then you should see probably some directories that say like armor, equipment, weapons,
Yeah.
and then you can drag those onto your character sheet, and then it should show up on your sheet.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And
Feel like-
then if you go onto your equipment, there's like items in use, items carried, items owned. So if you go to items owned, if you've picked those things up, like especially weapons, there's like a little symbol of like a fist. If you click on that, it will move it up to items in use, and then it will show up kind of on the main screen of your character sheet just to make it easier to access.
Mm-hmm. That could be good.
The one thing I noticed, Danville does not have any sort of weapon. Danville doesn't necessarily need a weapon, but that could be useful for Danville.
Yeah, he's terrible at everything. He cannot use. He can.
He's a
He's
scientist.
just bad at all of them.
Yeah, he's a scientist. So,
yeah.
Even if it's just to sort of look intimidating.
So do we know how long it's going to be, like how long we're going to have to complete this, like before the train reaches its destination?
So you know that the, let's see, I have some information on the train.
The train was a 2-hour trip.
Yeah. 2-hour trip,
does it
there's going to
say
be a 30-minute window where there's a storm.
Can they tell us a bit more about exactly where on the route that's going to happen, or can we watch that as a weather tracker or something like that?
Yeah, they show you the information. There's a slot canyon, a straight up and down, narrow-sided canyon on a plateau, and the train runs past that. It's about 1 kilometer from that slot canyon. It runs on a relatively flat plain. The storm looks like it's going to hit shortly before the train reaches that slot canyon. And Ada points out this would be a good spot to lie in wait if you want to do that. There's also about the middle of where the storm is projected to hit, and again, this is a 3-week weather report. It's subject to change. But on the other side of the train, there's a dry lake bed, and there's mud, like a mud flat. And she says, if you're clever, you could bury yourselves in the mud. They may not see you in that dry lake bed. It's slightly depressed, and the odds of them actively looking for someone to rob a train, I don't know. You may get security that's not very alert, especially during a storm. But then you are out and exposed in that lake bed.
So both the bikes and the skiff type thing, they would catch up to the train? Like, are they as fast as the train, faster than the train?
So all three, the air raft, the dirt bike, and the Gecko all-terrain vehicle, they're all just as fast as the train. They would be able to keep up with it or even exceed the speed slightly. The train will slow down in the storm, and so you would be able to manage to catch up to that.
The train is kind of traveling in the air, right?
Yeah, so this is one thing that I've changed. So in the adventure, it's like 1 kilometer up in the air, and I wanted this to be more like a Wild West train robbery. So it's like 10 feet above the ground. So it's just barely hovering above the ground. So if you took the dirt bike, you could get up alongside it, and you could leap if you want to try and leap onto the train, or that could be a way someone could leap off the train onto the dirt bike. Or if you run the dirt bikes, to interfere with the train, maybe cause a commotion somewhere, the air raft is going to be the easiest way to get someone off the train, especially while it's moving. So you can just hover right up to the side of the train.
Do we know anything about like roof access or windows that could possibly be entered?
There are windows on the train. They do mention that the train is armored, and if there's a storm, they will probably lower the window shutters. You could gain access to that before the storm, but during the storm would be difficult. You would probably need like some sort of torch or explosives or something to get in, and that's probably not going to be very quiet. As far as access, there are the cargo bay would be the easiest one to get into. And probably the least likely to have, people notice you, but there may be security staff in the cargo bay. To try and crack into those luxury cars, that's going to be much, much more difficult. But there are, there's an airlock in between every car. You could potentially access through the airlock. There would be a sealed hatch on the top of the airlock as an emergency exit that you could get in and out of. And then all of the cars would have an emergency exit on the roof if something were to happen and people needed to get out. And so you could use that to get into the train.
Having someone on the inside seems like a great idea because they could let others in through this airlock hatch and potentially even smuggle items aboard.
Absolutely.
Do we Do we have anybody who could pass for one of the upmarket people, so could actually get onto the luxury car and be in one of the other bays there? Do any of us look like we could pass for a bit of a knob?
So Aaron, he is a jack of all trades. He's kind of good at a little bit of everything. He was an ex-scout. I mean, he doesn't have like espionage skills, but he's the one that is kind of good at a little bit of everything. He might be one of your best, or Randall, the officer. I mean, he's kind of, a high class sort of guy, and maybe easy for him to get on as a passenger. If someone wants to get on as a worker, Aaron might be the best for that.
Give us 2 people on the inside. When the shutters come down during the storm, can that be overridden?
Yes.
Like, can somebody actually open a shutter and let someone in? Well, I presume the windows don't actually just open fully, obviously, but
No.
or somebody who's on the inside could also open an escape hatch and let everybody in that way.
Absolutely. All of the controls for that are inside the cars near the airlocks, and the stewards would go and they would be the ones responsible for that. But if someone is on the train, they could override that. You would probably have to input a security code or otherwise hack the system in order to override that, but it can be done. Alternatively, if you can fry the electronics on that, there's a chance they could just be forced open.
Be done with the electronic pulse generator.
Most likely that would work. Let me have Danville, I'm going to have you give me a roll. As you're looking over these weather reports, this storm forecast, give me a planetology. It's under science. So science, planetology, give me a roll to see what you think of these weather reports on a planet like this.
Okay. Oh, I see it. All right.
And you can use your education, be your best. Yeah, there you go. So your chain bonus, I'm going to let this push forward onto someone who is, as we get into this area, once we get to the train, that +3 bonus is going to get pushed onto the roll when we're planet side to determine the storm. So with an exceptional success, anytime you get an effect of 6 or higher, which you did, it's like a critical success. So you look at this report and you concur that this is accurate, that the window looks to be about a 30-minute window where the train will be going through the path of this storm. And you've studied this, and it looks like this storm is relatively commonplace and predictable. It's almost like hurricane season in the Caribbean. This is when it happens, and generally this is the path that it's going to take, and you feel pretty confident that this is accurate. And looking at the geography, you do see that slot canyon, and that does look like a good place if someone wanted to hole up in there. That dry lake bed, you're maybe less sure about. You know that these storms tend to bring a lot of lightning, and they would be out in the open in there, and that may not be healthy.
So what if we hedge our bets in some way? So we have a couple of different types of vehicle, at least we try to get a couple of people on the inside. We can keep communicating with each other up until the electrical storm, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, once you're in the storm, you'll probably lose electrical comms. You could still, depending on the visibility, which you have no idea what it might be like, you may be able to do hand gestures or other signs. But yeah, that's probably a good approach to be multiple vehicles. So like Danville, your skill is 0 in drive, but that's a lot better than a -3 that some others have. So if you wanted to drive like the ATV or a motorcycle, you could do that. You would generally be considered skilled. You kind of know what you're doing. As far as flying the air raft, that's not you. I think, Tina, didn't you say you have the flying skill? Flyer grav.
Jamie's got 0 for all the way down the line in drive, and also 0 all the way down the line in flyer, and then she's got a 1 on grav. So
yeah, so that 1 on grav, that's going to give you a +1 to your die roll. So you might be best to pilot the air raft.
So the plan with the air raft would be to bring it above the train and bring it down if we can, and if somebody inside could open one of the escape hatches, could we land it on the roof of the train? Would we have to hover it there?
Yeah, with a good piloting roll, you could probably land it, but you could hover there. It'll be a piloting roll to do that. You could also go alongside the train and have someone come out a window or out of an airlock. Cut your way through the airlock that runs in between each car. But the air raft will probably be the easiest way to get Director Tanlin off of the train, short of stopping the train, which that might be more of a Herculean effort.
Okay, so that would make sense that we would need to keep it with us. So it's not a matter of jumping off it and letting it fly off and crash or something like that. We need to keep it available.
Yep. So I think the biggest part you'll play is going to be the getaway driver.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I interrupted someone. Go ahead.
So we can uncouple it, right?
You can uncouple it, yep. It will absolutely be noticed if it's uncoupled. The engineer would know that it was uncoupled. Again, there's no communication, to anyone further up the line, but the people on the train would know that had been uncoupled. But that could be done. So if something happens to the air raft, that may be what you have to do, is uncouple it, and it will slow down faster than the train will if the train keeps going, and then hopefully get them off once it has stopped. Or if there's an emergency brake system, activate that and get them off. Miranda.
Who's our trained... Sorry, you keep going.
I was just going to say, Miranda, what role... How do you see Miranda taking part in this?
I feel like she makes more sense being an inside person on the train. She does have background in being a steward and kind of just doing a bunch of different service industry jobs.
So you would be great on the inside. Plus, you are skilled in electronics. Like if you need to be the one that opens the little blast shields or applies the brakes or anything like that, you're probably best suited to that.
Yeah. And she's an engineer, so if something really goes wrong, she can try to help.
Absolutely. So we talked about maybe having two on the inside. Do we think maybe Randall and Miranda then?
Randall could be kind of passable as almost anything on the inside. A passenger, a guard, even a mechanic if the train has any need for him. So he'd be looking for either a job or being a passenger.
Having him as an officer, as one of the security guards, would mean we have one less security guard to handle.
True.
Because they're our person.
And the question is just getting him in there to see if we can get our leg in.
Could our benefactor perhaps have an in to get someone in there, or like a little bit of power within the train company or whatever to actually plant somebody in there for us?
Absolutely. In fact, let's do that now. As you've got a few weeks, you probably want to get that job sooner so you can ensure that you're on this train. So, Miranda, you start looking for are they hiring, what positions, and give me an admin role. This is administration. You're looking, through Albies, where can I get hired, who runs this train, how do I do that? With a successful admin role, you can use intelligence or even education on this.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, that's terrible. Okay.
Wow.
You fail to find any openings. It looks like they have no openings at all for any employment positions on the train. Now, that doesn't mean you can't create an opening. but right now you don't see anything. If you want to create an opening, that's going to be electronics, computers, to hack in and create a job for yourself. And you're gonna, if you can get this one, you'll have a shot.
All right. Well, hopefully, let's see here.
And you need a 6 or
Can I
higher.
help?
So yes. So if you want to help, so this has boons and banes, like advantage, disadvantage. So if are you trained in electronics, computers?
I have a 1 in computers.
Perfect. Then you can give that +1 bonus to Miranda. So then Miranda, when you click on computers, the under difficulty, change it from 8 to 6, and then under DM add 1, and then roll it.
Okay. Do I roll type? Do I just do normal?
Just normal. Yep.
Okay, great.
Oh, there you go. Sweet.
Oh, good one.
So exceptional success. So you hack into their employment records. Now, do you fire someone and then just use that job, or do you create a new job for yourself?
Aw, that'd be sad to fire someone. She's just gonna make a new job.
Okay. What job? With an exceptional success, you can choose anything you want, and you'll be able to make that.
Is there already like a chief engineer or something?
So it looks like, well, I mean, there's no openings for one. There is a chief engineer on this train. You could put in a job listing for that, and then you could go in and like assign him to vacation or assign him to a different line. You're going to get a +3 bonus on that. That's your chain bonus as you add a new skill to this. So what do you want to do with that?
Yeah, let's put him on vacation. Enjoy your time away.
Nice.
And I'll be the new chief engineer.
Give me another computers roll, and this time you'll add a +3 to it. And this will also be, the difficulty will be 6 on this.
6, and then DM, that's
3.
where I put the 3?
Yep.
+3, +3. Oh.
Got it. Excellent. So again, you put him down for vacation. He's actually thrilled. He's like, I didn't remember putting in for vacation. Sweet. And you see not only the job opening, but now it says it's urgent because they don't have someone on that train. So you put in your details, and it pops up within a few seconds that you've been invited in for an interview for this job in 24 hours time.
Nice.
So that's the way you're going. Randall, how are you getting on the train?
If there's no job opening for Randall, he'll try and book a ticket for passage. If he can get a hookup for a luxury unit, that would be ideal.
Yeah, give me a roll for that. You can do either broker, which is like trying to like negotiate something here, or you can also do diplomat if you want. Either one of those two skills will work for this. And the difficulty on this will be 6 as well, so you'll change that difficulty. Nice. So just barely, but you got it. Yeah, you're able to book passage on the train, and it's in one of the luxury boxes. In fact, they've got you in this box right here, just behind the crew car, and probably 2 cars away from where the director is. So, but you've got a spot on the train. In fact, if you want to know in the cart where you're going to be in this second spot here. So, in fact, I'm going to pull your token into that spot right there.
Is there a passenger manifest that we could potentially also view from our resident hacker?
Yeah, so that's going to be another computer's roll to pull that up. That's going to be a little harder because that's highly encrypted. That's going to be difficulty 8. But if Miranda wants to, or if Jamie, she's actually got the +1, and if Jamie wants to try and hack into that.
Jamie,
go, Jamie.
Go. Just a straight roll?
Straight roll. Gotta beat an 8. Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
Nice.
that's pretty good.
You got it. So, yeah, you pull up a list. And you notice a couple things on this list. One, you see that Director Tanlin is indeed on the list here. And one thing that you notice as well is that he's scheduled to meet with someone. It's a businessman named Shakur. It's Shkker. That sounds like a Vargar name. Shakur is booked in the car just behind you, but it looks like there has been an order placed for refreshments to be brought for meeting between these two. And you can see that there's been a requisition put in for a steward to go and get Mr. Shakur and take him to Director Tanlin.
And is that kind of what knowing the world needs to be done? If Randall was to travel between luxury cars, would he need an appointment as well?
No, just if you wanted someone to come and get you and escort you, the fancy way of doing things.
Okay.
But yeah, if you just wanted to get up and move around, you could just move around.
Perfect.
Now, how about anyone else want to try and get on the train ahead of schedule, or is the plan to ambush the train during the storm?
Soldier.
Talix, what do you think?
Well, I feel like I would be best as like backup in case anything goes wrong, because I'm a big combat person.
So, do you want to take like that Gecko all-terrain assault vehicle? The thing has it's got a huge gun on it. It's got like a twin autocannon on the top. I mean, if worse comes to worse, that's the big gun.
Yeah, so I guess I could be there in case we like get into any trouble or something.
Now, let me look and see what your specialties are on here. So you have so heavy weapons, vehicle. So you're skilled. So you would be a good gunner on there. You can also drive it. You couldn't do both. You could drive it, stop somewhere, and get on the guns if you had to.
Right.
Or someone could drive you in that all-terrain vehicle. Or you could just take a dirt bike and whatever weapons you have and go to wherever you're needed.
Right, because I also feel like we don't want to make ourselves like too known on the train, so I don't know if a like huge gun would be wise.
Yeah, that's probably like last case, last resort.
And I don't know if things are gonna go that badly. So
if they go that badly, you guys have screwed up.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll just be like somewhere with my weapons already, just waiting for.
Do you want to go in the air raft with Jamie to board the train?
I could hover and let you drop down
Yeah,
once they open up the hatch.
Yeah, you could hop on. You could be the first in with the guns in case there's resistance.
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay. What about Danville? Danville and Aaron. What's the plan for the two of you?
Yeah, it sounds like he's a relatively competent driver, so he's happy to drive something.
So you,
I guess probably not a bike if we're two people.
You could drive the assault vehicle if Talix wanted to be the gunner on that. So that's an option there. And then maybe Aaron goes with Jamie on the air raft. Because that way, if something happens to one of the vehicles, there's a backup.
I think that's a really good idea.
Let me open this up then. So let me drag Danville onto the assault vehicle. Make you a crew. And you'll be the pilot. And then Talix. So I'm just dragging these people onto the vehicles, and then I can assign the role. So you'll be the gunner. Okay. And then I don't think we're taking a motorcycle, so we'll get rid of the motorcycle. On the air raft, we're going to have Jamie. And Jamie's going to be the pilot. And then Aaron goes on the air raft, and Aaron will be a passenger. Because there's only one role on there. So, perfect. Okay, so we've got everyone sorted where they're going to be. What's the plan when the storm hits? Is there a signal that you guys will have for each other? There will be no communications once you're in the storm. Although, the people on the train, Miranda and Randall, you would be able to communicate. The train would have like wired communication, but anything wireless would not work.
So Randall kind of notices that the engineering compartment is all the way at the front of the train.
Yep.
So he was thinking about maybe bringing the electronic pulse generator to cause some issues to give a reason for engineering to kind of come back towards the luxury area.
So there's a fresher, basically the bathroom. It's where you go in, and there's like machines that like clean your clothes and your body and press your suit, and you can also use the restroom there. You could, break the toilet and then have an engineer have to come back and fix it.
He's even wondering, like, maybe he's trying to just move between compartments, and all of a sudden the airlock doors get shut. Maybe he panics and opens up the emergency hatch.
Oh, there you go. I think that would work. If you can jam those airlocks so the stewards can't come and try and get you out, that may give time for people to board through that hatch.
If you got one to jam, if you got one to jam, but not one from the engineer side, then our engineer can come racing down the train to help unlock the first door. Then we can jam the second door behind you or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we need to give you a reason to come down as well, Miranda.
I'm the chief engineer. I can just be wandering around the train to make sure that everything's working right.
In fact, I'm going to put Miranda in the engineer car. I'm going to put Director Tanlin. He's going to be in that car.
Also, do we know if this guy is gonna go willingly, or if like he's gonna put up a fight or anything?
You don't know. He's 82. I don't know how much of a fight he's going to put up.
So we can get him out pretty easily, is what you're saying.
Well, if you knock him unconscious, absolutely.
Does he have the 3 bodyguards that were mentioned on the text?
It sounds like there will be the 3. It sounds like that's kind of his MO. He typically will travel with that.
Will they be in his pod with him, or will they be standing outside the door, or?
That you don't know. You likely won't know until you get there.
So I wonder, could we just pull this hovercraft up alongside his compartment and find out which one it is, and then just like I don't know if we could get like a torch cutter and just get to the side of the train.
Yeah, it's doable. I mean, you might be doing it in a storm, but it's doable. You cut through the little blast shields over the windows and pull them out.
And we should know the exact room too with the passenger manifest, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so is that the plan? Is everything sorted?
So plan A.
I think so.
So what's the backup when everything goes?
Yeah, what's plan B? We kill everyone?
Upside down.
Uncouple the car, maybe?
Yep, that will leave us with the luxury car and the 2 luggage cars, drifting backwards as the train continues.
Yeah.
Not a bad plan even before. Could be part of plan A.
So let's go through plan A. Kind of when the storm hits, we find our way back to the luxury car that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a group that's kind of driving alongside the train near his window that try and board through there.
Yeah, is the plan to take him out through the window, or take him out through the roof, or through the little coupler, the airlock in between the cars? What's the plan to get him out?
Ooh, it might be
Mask on him
easier to
so he
have him in
doesn't
the hover.
die.
What was that, Luke?
Yeah,
Sorry, I was just saying it might be easier to get him into the hovercraft than the ATF vehicle.
Yeah, I think the hovercraft will be by far the easiest, especially if the train is about 3.5 meters, about 10 feet up above the ground, and the hover.
He's not going to try to escape either if it's flying.
Yeah.
Well, he's less likely to, anyways.
And the train is going at a high rate of speed. It's about 200 kilometers per hour, so it's booking. 120 miles per hour for those of us that use the old system.
if we uncouple it, it's not. Right?
Right. It'll slow down.
Right.
In fact, if you uncouple it, there's a chance that the emergency brakes fire and it, those cars will come to a stop.
And then we only have to deal with whoever's on that, in that particular cabin, and then whatever's coming along behind, which could be some people in the luggage area.
Correct.
If we want to go with the plan where we open up the train from the window, there's a stun grenade in the gear. We could use that. Just clear the room with that.
So that will use the athletics skill to throw a grenade. So if anyone is good with athletics, I think it's athletics dexterity is like the subclass of that.
Took one, and I have a 0 for dexterity, like athletics all the way down the line, and for dexterity. But I'm in the other one. But I'll take one just in case I can stun some soldiers that if they try to follow him out the hatch or something.
Perfect.
But anybody else could have one? Is there more than one?
Yep, there's plenty of those. It's just for the people that are like Miranda and Randall, it'll be tougher to smuggle those onto the train unless you somehow bribe some into cargo. You could you could put lots of weapons in cargo with the right bribes and then just go back and get them.
If I've got Aaron with me, then I need to be able to drop him off as well. So we need to get that hatch open, unless you want everyone to be in the gecko to start.
Well, I think it might be best to split up like that, because it would be very easy for you to drop him off. The gecko is probably... It'll be hard to get from there onto the train. It's doable. It's going to be a jump in a storm. What could go wrong? Okay. But it's definitely doable.
So the gecko is there to blast the side out of the cabin if in Plan B.
Yep. If you can't get it open, make a hole, and that'll make a hole.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Sounds like uncoupling it would make it a lot easier for us as far as boarding goes.
Mm-hmm.
There's also some charges in the gear. We could use that to open the side of the train.
Scientist be doing? What's Danville gonna do?
So I know Danville's driving the gecko.
Oh, good. Excellent. Okay.
He might also be monitoring the storm.
Mm-hmm.
He would be the best with that to know if, we need to call this off because this is way worse than we thought, or oh shoot, it's not happening now. It's going to be 5 miles down the road, and we need to hurry up to, the new rendezvous spot.
So that's Talix and Danville are in the gecko, right?
Yep.
Talix?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just trying to make a note here as I go. Okay. So we've got Miranda on board as engineer. And we've got Randall on board as a travelling officer.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
It's the night before the heist. And Miranda, you get your orders that you're going to be on this train. And you also see that due to an injury, the other engineer that was going to go on your train has been replaced. And the replacement is he's ex-military. This is you've not worked with him, but the people are like, oh, look out for this guy. He is no nonsense. He's by the book. And when this guy meets you, he's got like a buzz cut, and he almost wants you to call him sir. He's very bossy and very by the book. In fact, he puts on a white glove and he's running it around the upper vents and pulls it down and sees dirt on there, and he looks at you and just kind of shakes his head like, oh, slop, 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 slop. And he's like, I'm going to go check the sensors. And he heads off. And right away your job has just gotten more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
The morning of the heist, there's a lot of talk at the station. And Randall, you hear a lot of passengers worried about the storm. And the passenger cars, they're going to be hot and overloaded, and that won't affect you, but anyone having to move between engineering and where you are has to go through those, and that may be difficult because a lot of people there are nervous about the storm. There's been rumors going around of winds picking up mummified bones from the ruins and smashing them up against the train. And you don't hear this, but Miranda, you hear some of the crew worrying that the ship's electric discharge surge protection system is on the verge of failure. It won't take much to make the train vulnerable to lightning strikes. So already there's tension is high for those on the train. For those...
So those...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to... Yeah, just those of us who are coming in the air raft and the gecko, are we coming from we can be parked in various places in the canyon, right? That's where we're coming from?
So I have a little canyon-y map. Let me take us all there. So this is that little slot canyon, and this is from inside the canyon. The train's going to be sort of in where we are looking in. But this is where you would hide in this slot canyon. And so in here we've got Aaron, Danville, Jamie, and Talix. Although I think Aaron is with Jamie. And,
Yeah,
Talix is with Danville. Perfect. You guys have your vehicles here, and you look them over, and Danville, first thing you're going to do is you're going to, you always check your vehicle, make sure everything's in working order. Give me a drive wheel skill check, and use your education with this as you're going through the maintenance manual and when's the filter's been changed on this thing, and who last did the oil on this, as you go through there and make sure it's in good working order. This isn't a vehicle that you don't own this, so fantastic. It looks like the air filters are a little bit clogged on this. You don't have a spare. You don't have a replacement. If you want to try and make a minor repair, basically knocking out some of the dust and cleaning it out as much as you can, you are more than welcome to make a mechanic roll for that. I would give you a bonus of +2 because of how well you did on your roll just now, if you want to do that. Otherwise, you can just, I hope this holds up.
Yeah, I mean, you'd want to try to clean it up. That's not very ideal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you get that thing. It runs better than it ever has. In fact, you find the spark plugs, the gap is wrong on there, so you fix the spark plugs. This thing runs like a dream now. And Jamie, you think, oh, maybe I should do the once over on this air raft, and give me a flyer grav roll, and the difficulty will be 6 on this as you look over the raft and think, is there even an air filter on this thing? It's like open to the elements. You feel pretty good that this. Yeah, I think this is. It's on. It's floating. This thing's got to be good. So you feel pretty confident.
It's got us here.
Sorry, what was that?
I said it got us here.
Yeah, it got you there, and it's not making any weird noises, and the turn signal's not on, and it's got to be good.
Fly them. I don't fix them.
Now,
so I have drive hovercraft. Would that count for this at all?
So that's different from the. So a hovercraft in that sense would be just like hovercrafts that we have that have the little skirt around them. This would be a grav ship.
But
okay, could I
do you have mechanic or something?
Yeah, if you have mechanic, you're welcome to take a look at it. Or if you want to try the drive hovercraft.
I can give it a shot.
Yeah, you got jack of all trades, so you're not bad at it. You look over it and you think...
I've never worked on one of these.
So you got a 4... Yeah, you look over it and you're like, you know what? The ones I'm used to have a big fan. This thing has it's got an M drive, a maneuver drive, that repels gravity, and you're not super familiar with those. It's working. You hope it's working well enough. It's passed all of the system diagnostics. It looks good, but you just don't know how it's going to handle in a storm. Whereas Danville, your thing's going to be just fine in a storm. But the air raft, you're not certain about. Talix, give me a recon roll. Difficulty's 8 on this. Nice. As you're waiting, and that the train's going to be here in about an hour, you hear sounds coming from this area of the canyon. There's kind of a darkened, little recessed area, and you've not scouted this canyon out before, but you see this. Danville, you notice Talix eyeballing this. Give me a planetology roll, and you can add a +2 to that from Talix's recon.
All right.
What kind of sounds, by the way?
Animal sounds.
Okay.
With that +2, you nailed it. You know that this planet has several species of creature that are native here, and one of them is called a canthus. And it's a huge, 10-foot tall, if it was to stand on its feet, lizard-like reptile. Giant jaws, sharp teeth, horrible claws, very dangerous. You know that they nest in craggy, rocky areas, and they're ambush predators. And you begin to think, are we about to be ambushed as well? Talix, what do you do?
Well, we've got the gecko that has the big gun on it, so I guess just point that towards the area and just wait for something, I guess. Yeah.
There's the Carthus right there. You see this thing. Let me post a picture. You see this thing emerge from the cave. Mouthful of razor-sharp teeth. And as it does, we're going to do just a brief little combat. Honestly, I think with the vehicle here, it's going to be really fast. Let me grab the ATV here. Let me put you in there, Talix, because you're going to use that big gun. Okay. Okay, so the way that combat in Traveler works is there's initiative that's rolled first. What's cool is the initiative is you roll 2d6, but then you modify it. You can either make a dexterity roll because how agile and fast you are, or an intelligence roll, how smart you are. And so I'm going to let everyone roll for initiative. So you don't have to do it. If you do it the way that we normally do, where you go to the little combat screen, it will just do your dexterity. If you want to use your intelligence, you just make an intelligence roll, and I will manually adjust that. And it uses the effect, so the difference from 8 that your result was. So Danville, you got right on it. So you, there we go. So that is an effect of 0 for Talix. So let me update that. Initiative 0. Perfect. And Aaron, if you want to, if you and Jamie want to do initiative, you can, just in case Talix can't take this thing out in one fell swoop. Nice. So Aaron got a +2 on that, so Aaron's initiative will be 2. Excellent. And I think Tina stepped away.
Back.
Oh,
Do I
you're
just
back.
hit Dex for that?
So, yeah, do a dex roll or an intelligence roll. Whichever your higher modifier is.
Intelligence.
And you got a -1, so that's going to be, you'll have a -1 to your initiative. Now, if we had Randall with us, he has tactics. He could roll tactics, and that would adjust the initiative. But he's not with us, so...
I think I also have tactics.
Do you have tactics?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to roll tactics, Talix?
Okay.
And this will affect you and Danville as you kind of direct Danville. So the effect of that will affect both of yours. Ooh.
So I take that back, actually.
So yours actually will go down by 2, as it's
Okay.
bad tactics. So
No.
let me adjust your initiative. So yours is going to be -2. As you're like, turn the car that way. No, the other way. And clearly you got turned around here. And so that's the negative to doing this. All right, Aaron, you are up first. Now this game has kind of like the little heads-up display. If you click on your token, you're going to see on the upper left, it'll say your name, it'll have your attributes, attacks, equipment, utility. You can target the creature and then go to attacks and then just click on whichever weapon you're using. If you're using your auto pistol from there, your knife, you'd have to get close. If you're throwing a grenade, whatever you're doing. Nice, let me pull that up. Excellent. So that's a hit, and so that will do 9 damage. That will auto-apply that to the Canthus. Whoops, sorry, I had you selected. There we go. There we go. Canthus just took 9 hits. Excellent. And now, Jamie, it's your turn.
Okay, I will do the same. I'm going to shoot it with my auto pistol.
Okay, go ahead and target it.
Oop, hang on. Yay! I did it! Just a straight attack?
Yep, so you can go, if you... Yep, just like... Oh, shoot. You missed. It would have done 10 damage. It would have been a fantastic shot, but that was not a success. Talix, you bring the big gun around. Now, I've not tested this on the vehicle, so you're gonna be the guinea pig. Can you...
Okay.
If you click on the vehicle, does it open up like a character sheet?
Yes, it does.
And then do you see your name and it says gunnery?
Yes.
Can you click on that and it should do a gunnery roll? And target the Carthus. So hover over it, push T. There you go. Does it do it?
I've clicked gunnery, but I don't know if it's doing anything.
Did it pull up a smaller window that asked you to then roll other stuff?
No.
Let me... Okay, I think I know why. Let me do this. So this system, the Mongoose system on Foundry, it's still kind of a work in progress, and not all the things are ready. And I wasn't sure, I hadn't tested this part yet, but we'll get it figured out. Okay, now try that again. If you click on the token, okay, then click gunnery, and then it'll let you fire. Nice. So that is a. Oh, I didn't use the weapon. Why didn't I use the weapon? Okay, it does 66 plus 6.
Pretty good damage.
Okay, 22 points of damage.
Nice.
That's going to take it out. So how do you destroy... Because it had 19 hit points left. How do you destroy the Karthus?
Well, after my fumbling around with the gun, I finally managed to aim it at the creature, and then I just go to town and take it out.
Excellent. You hear the blast and the smoke coming out of the barrel, and you just see this red mist where once there was a Karthus. Now it's gone. But now there's a complication for the team here in the canyon, is that you know you're not alone, and where there's one, there's likely more. Let's go back to the grav-train. Let's go to Randall. So, Randall, you can hear the staff getting a little bit concerned about the storm that's coming up. And then you see a steward walking past your room, and they're headed to the to one of the other cabins, where they knock on the door and say, "Mr. Shakur, if you're ready, we can take you to Director Tanlin." And you hear, "Yes, I'm ready." And it sounds like he's headed to his meeting with the director. The storm will happen in about 10-15 minutes, potentially. Do you do anything at this point, or are you still waiting?
He's probably going to keep waiting for just a little bit. He will, if he's able to calm. He'll try and discreetly calm Miranda.
Okay, Miranda, you would pick it up easily.
The meeting is taking place with Shakur right now. We've got about 10 or 15 minutes until the storm, so are you able to make your way back towards the luxury compartments?
Miranda, that replacement engineer, he has given you a list of tasks that he would like done, and many of them you've already done. It's triple checking certain systems, double check the sensors, triple check the comms, make sure the antenna's in good place, and he's kind of overbearing, and now you get word that Randall is ready for you to move. What do you do, Miranda?
Oh, I think she said she's feeding her cats.
Oh, did we lose Alex?
Never mind.
Okay.
Um,
We'll get back to Alex.
Randall.
You don't get any response from her.
Randall stuck some stuff in his cargo. One thing that he's a little bit nervous about is making sure that we have an extra mask for our kidnapping victim.
Oh, true.
So he's going to start making his way back towards the cargo compartments. Maybe not right now, but in a few minutes, once it gets a little bit closer to the storm. Just to be prepared and be able to act as soon as it hits.
Perfect. It's a little disconcerting that you haven't heard from Miranda. If the camera pans onto Miranda, you see, her comm is the little lights kind of going off, and she's just needs to put her hand up to her ear to trigger it. But this guy is just handing her tools and a checklist and making life a little difficult for her. And she's starting to get a little nervous because she's acutely aware of the time. But so far you've heard nothing. Danville, this is the time you're going to make the next storm roll. You get a +3 on this. That's going to be the planetology.
Alrighty.
With a +3. You need to beat an 8. This is to accurately track when you need to... Oh, yeah, easily done. Oof. Yeah, you know that we need to go right now. And if we go right now, we will meet the train as the storm has hit, and we'll be in the storm for the least amount of time possible. And so you give the signal. Do you go together, or are you splitting up?
Good question. Yeah.
Anyone have any feedback or opinion one way or the other? You want to take the air raft and the ATV together?
Yep, I'd say so.
It seems like time's of the essence, and also like I see the gecko as like a support for the aircraft, so it makes sense for them to go in tandem.
It would be one in the sky and one on the ground, and we'll kind of go together.
The driving is relatively easy over this open, flat stretch. There's no roll needed, but you can see the storm approaching, and it looks like a huge sandstorm, just a brown wall of particles and heavy winds, and you can see the pulsing flashes of lightning coming from this storm. And off in the distance, you can see the track that the grav-train rides on, and you know that the storm is going to reach that track before you do. The whole point was not to let the people driving the train see you approach, and so as long as you can hit that storm first, you'll be there. As you're driving, you notice that the train is a little bit ahead of schedule. In fact, you can see the train rounding a corner that it should not round for another 5 minutes, so you need to gun it. So this will be a driving roll for Danville. You're driving the gecko, so this is a drive wheeled, and then I need a fly grav from Jamie. And the difficulty here is going to be a 6. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I did an 8.
Even with an 8, you still got it. Excellent. Ooh, okay, so the air raft gets a little bit behind the gecko. The gecko is going a little faster. You've got more grip on the ground. The air raft does not. It's buffeted by the wind a little bit more, and slowly you begin to drift apart. And as the storm begins to hit, soon the visibility is so low that, Jamie, you don't see the gecko any longer, and your comms are all staticky. And again, here and there is the pulse of lightning, and then you begin to even feel and hear that crackle of thunder, and you know that you are in the heart of the storm. But now
I know that Danville's a good driver. I'll trust that he'll get there.
One of you will get there. You hope that both of you will get there, but right now you guys have gotten separated. Alex, are you back with us?
Oh, yes, I'm back.
Perfect. Sorry, what was that, Henrik?
Could I try and pull up the gecko on our sensors? I'm quite good at that.
Yeah, give me a sensor roll as you man that. Difficulty here is going to be a 10 because of the storm. And you got a 9. Shoot. It's close. You pick it up. You have a distance to the storm and a bearing. It kind of fluctuates back and forth greater than you would expect. It's almost like they're pulling away by 20 meters. Now they're 10 meters closer. It's just stuttering back and forth. It's having a difficult time getting a bearing on it. But you do have enough that you'll be able to follow it. What you don't know is if they stop, you may run into them. And so you only hope that Danville doesn't have any problems. And Danville, you get closer to the track, you need to make a turn and head into the face of the storm. So you're going alongside the rails. Give me a driving roll. This is going to be a difficulty 8. You can add a 2 from your last driving roll as a chain bonus. So at a +2 modifier, you need to beat an 8.
Good luck. Ooh, oh no.
Your hat blows off, and you lose your hat in the storm. But thankfully, you brought a spare. You pull it out, shake it off, and put it on your head. Got your second hat there. As you're driving, you feel a bump and a scrape. You've just curb rashed the rims on this as you hit the grav track. You're closer than you thought. So you pull off a little bit, and you notice that your vehicle, the alignment's a little bad on it. It's going to affect your next driving roll until you figure out why this thing's pulling to the left. And you only hope that you haven't punctured a tire. Aaron, you see that Danville has made the turn, and so you point this out to Jamie. Jamie, you need to make this turn as well. That's another flyer grav. This will have a -1 on it.
Oh, is that me?
Yep,
Sorry.
Yep, that's you. Sorry, Tina.
Okay. Sorry, I don't recognise my name yet.
Flyer grav with a -1.
With a -1. Oh god, I haven't done very well even normally.
If I did another sensors check, could that help them?
Yeah, in fact, as you're running sensors, I'm going to say if you haven't, so don't do your roll yet, Tina. Instead of normal, do it with a boon.
Is that still with a -1 as well? So I put that in DM?
Yep, put that in DM, and then on roll type, do a boon. You got it. Barely. By the skin of your teeth. You got it. So you get it going right up alongside the track, and you're just behind, maybe 40 meters behind Danville. But you're on a good course, and now that you have the track as reference, it's easier to keep that course.
Okay.
Alex, Miranda is in the front car, and you begin to get a comm call from Randall. He's trying to talk to you, but this other engineer, this ex-army type, he's given you a list of all sorts of tasks, and these are things you've already done. It's triple checking the sensors, triple checking the comms, go and make sure that we've got the blast doors down, we're almost into the storm, and you got this call coming in, but this guy's like right in your face. What does Miranda do?
Miranda's like, I really need to use the bathroom, so if you'll excuse me, and she just kind of like tries to rush out.
He looks at you like, what? And he's just absolutely flustered. Give me a roll. I'll give you a choice. You can either do persuade or deception.
Persuade, for sure.
Difficulty's going to be 8.
Okay.
Can she get a boon if she crosses her legs and stuff?
Ooh. I like
like
it.
really,
I
really
really need to go.
I like it.
Okay, so the boo tricks.
Barely.
Oops.
He takes the pencil in his hand, he just snaps it. He's like, oh, this would never fly in my Navy. And he stuffs the broken pencil in his pocket. Just go. Hurry back. There's a lot to do. And he gets on the internal wired comm and tells all the stewards, it's time to close the blast doors. Close the blast doors now. And then he's looking at a monitor, seeing as the doors begin to go down over the windows. Yeah, you don't go to the bathroom in the Navy. You hold it for 4 years. So Miranda, you are free to head out of that car. Now the nearest fresher is going to be in the car right behind you. There is a fresher right here, so he would just expect you to go out this back door, through the little airlock into the next one, use the bathroom. He's expecting you back in 30 seconds. He's thinking like a man. This should only take 30 seconds. I could just pee out this window right now. But he's going to be frustrated the longer and longer this takes.
Could just kill him.
I knew it was going to get there eventually.
Well, I am a rogue.
So, Miranda, I'm going to put you in car Actually, I'll put you on this. But you're in car C.
Okay.
Where are you going? I'm going to move Randall
I mean,
to
I
car
think
F.
she probably will just pop into the bathroom to be able to talk.
You open the comms. Randall, you hear Miranda come back, and she's got you on comms. It's a little staticky. You are in the storm. There's some shielding in here, which helps, but it's a little bit staticky. It's a little hard to pick up. What do you say, Randall?
Miranda, when do you think you'll be back here? I know that the meeting's taking place between our target and Sharik, and we've got about 10 minutes until the storm comes.
She's like, 2 minutes, just need to, kill a guy.
If you need an engineering emergency, I can make one.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right, Randall, what do you do?
Randall's going to run back to his luxury unit's lavatory.
Okay. Which should be
And
the back of your car, kind of back down here.
using his knowledge as a mechanic making fixes on a lot of naval ships over the years, he's been around a number of bathrooms. He knows his basics about plumbing. He's going to cause a bit of a leak and a mess
So
in
you
this
just grab
bathroom.
like all the paper towels and stuff them in there and hit flush.
He's going to hit flush more than once,
Nice.
for sure.
To sabotage this, I'm going to have you give me a roll. This is going to be a mechanic roll, and the difficulty on this is a 4. We've all plugged toilets. It's not hard. These are industrial strength toilets, like on a cruise ship that could like suck the fillings out of your teeth, but why you'd have your face there, I don't know. But this has like hardcore suction. So give me that mechanic roll. The difficulty is 4. You got it. So it takes a few tries because this thing wants to, chew up whatever you put in there, and you're almost like, this is a marvel of plumbing. And then you think, no, I have a job to do, and you shove more towels in there, and eventually it is blocked, and you start whistling as you're filling it with water, and then water spilling over the floor, and then a little sensor alarm goes off that there's water on the floor, that potential flooding. And so it actually shuts off the water, but there is water on the floor, and the toilet is full to the brim.
He's also going to run outside of the cabin and try and get a hold of a steward or stewardess or guard even, and kind of let him know that the bathroom's having some problems and demand that it be fixed right now so that he can relieve himself.
Ooh, if you're going to demand, you can give me either a persuade, or you can give me a steward roll. You're not great in either one of those, but the difficulty is only going to be a 4 on this.
All right.
Nice.
And you got it. The steward comes up and is like, "Oh, sir, I'm so sorry. Please return to your room. Do you need to still use the restroom? I can escort you to the next car if you like."
Yes, I have to go right now, and that bathroom's, the water's coming out under the door. You need somebody to fix that right now. It's going to be going into my cabin.
Oh, sir, please. And he moves you to one car closer to Director Tanlin. And he actually escorts you all the way down to the end, and there's someone in that room, and he knocks on the door, and you hear a "Urgh!" He's like, "Sir, someone else needs the restroom. I'm almost done." And it sounds like a Varger behind that door. And you only hope that, if he lifted his leg, he has good aim. Otherwise, you may have the same trouble here. So as you're waiting for that, the steward's looking a little bit flustered, and he's like, "We can try the next car if you like."
This is ridiculous. Take me there now. I'm gonna be having problems soon.
Give me another persuade roll. You can add a +2 bonus to this because we'll go off of your last success. Oh, nailed it. So, do you actually let a little pee dribble out and like stain the front of your pants just to show him that you mean business?
If he's able to, he just might.
On command,
He's committed.
you know. Yeah, like force of will, mind over bladder. You got this. And yeah, a little leakage, and he's like, "Oh, sir, quickly!" And he takes you to Director Tamlin's car. When you get into the car, this is a little different layout from yours, where yours had a couple of different rooms, 6 different rooms. This has one room, and so it's got the hallway that kind of runs down the side, like your room had, but then it's just one large, spacious room, and there are glass doors. It's well lit. You look inside, it looks really, really nice, and you can see that there are 3 security personnel in here. Let me grab those. So I'm going to make another. I'm going to put you on here again, just so we know where you are. So Randall, you've just come into this car. There is a security personnel in the hallway. There's one in the room. And there's another that is down here, kind of blocking this the passage to the cargo. They don't want the cargo workers coming in here, so his job is to ensure that doesn't happen. But that's also on the way to the bathroom. So the steward takes you here and says, "Emergency, please let him through." And the security guards will pass to let you go to the restroom. As you head over there, you see that Tanlin is meeting with this Varger businessman, but it's going poorly. Clearly the Varger has failed to interest Tanlin. And seeing you walk by, Shakur looks out and says, "Wait your turn. I'm still dealing with him." And Tanlin says, No, this meeting is over. I'm afraid there's nothing else here that I can do to offer you." And he snaps his fingers, and the security guard opens the door and says, "Steward, please escort this man back to his room." And he comes up to grab Shakur and take him back.
Perfect. He's still kind of Randall still has to go to the restroom just to kind of keep up appearances either way.
Right.
So he's going to kind of keep walking back to the toilet there, where he'll kind of go in and then try and calm Miranda again, just to kind of see if she's able to make her way back with the toilet issues.
Miranda, so you are in the bathroom. You've been in there for a couple minutes now, and any second now that guy's going to come and knock on your door and ask what the problem is. But so far he seems to be busy with the storm preparations. You're well in the storm now. You can hear it outside the thin walls of this fresher, and you can hear the debris banging up against the side of the train, and the ventilation system has now kicked on to like an internal cycling, and it starts to smell a little bit sweaty in here because it's just recycling the air from this berth, and there's a lot of people. There's 25 people in this hot train car. What do you do, Miranda?
I think she is just gonna make her way down toward the F cars. Knowing that the storm is happening, the guy's probably busy, and he'll probably assume she just got pulled aside by the steward and is heading to fix the toilet.
You make your way to about here, and your comm starts going off. "Get back up here! I need your help! We've got problems in the sensors! Where are you?"
There's a flooded toilet, so I'm going to fix that.
Oh, for crying out loud! You flooded the toilet?
No, not me. Someone else.
Make it fast! Make it fast! And you get down to...
Aye, Captain.
And he likes it. He's like, "Oh, You sense almost a change come over him, like, there's the respect I've been wanting. He says, hurry back when you can. And then you make it to E, which is the crew car. And there's quite a few crew members in here. Some of them are stowing items that could come loose in here. Others are recovering the first aid kit. Apparently there's someone has fallen in one of the cars. They've slipped on water in one of the cars. Apparently a toilet flooded and someone slipped and banged their head on a wall. And so they're getting a first aid kit for that. But you're slowly making your way back down to where Randall is. Let's go to the folks in the vehicle. So, Danville, you know the train is coming up on you. You can actually feel the thrum from the grav track next to you. The storm is raging, and the lightning is getting closer and more prominent. In the air raft, Jamie, you're the first to feel it as you're behind. You feel the rush of air as the train blows past you at high speed. You didn't even know it was on you until it's right there. And that buffet of air, is that pillow of air gets pushed past you. I need another flyer grav roll. And this will have a -2 on it. I need to beat a 6.
Yeah.
Okay. You actually lose control of the air raft for a moment. It veers to the left. You try to correct. You actually overcorrect, and you end up under the train for a moment. And you feel the gravitics wanting to push you up into the train. I need one more piloting roll, and this is going to have a -2 on it.
God.
Okay, the air raft comes up and bangs into the underside of the train. I need both you and Talix to make, or sorry, you and Aaron to make a roll. This is going to be a. You can either make a dexterity roll or you can make an athletics roll. I'll let you choose. If you fail this, you'll take damage. Nice. So you duck down. The front windscreen of the air raft has a few cracks, and you can see them spider webbing more and more as it's getting buffeted with debris. But that impact clearly damaged the windscreen. If that thing blows out, sharp glass is going to fly all over you, and you know that's not going to be good. But you manage to pull the vehicle out from under the train, and as you come up underneath it, you are right outside this car. Actually, I'm going to put you down lower. You're right outside this car right here. Now, Danville, I need a driving roll from you as well.
Yeah, and I collided with the train a little, so this gave me a minus, right?
Yep, a -2, I think it was.
No.
You hit as the train buffets past you. The blast initially throws you off, and you overcorrect, and you're headed right towards the track. And if you hit the track, it's gonna bounce you, and you may roll this vehicle, which could be catastrophic for both of you. I need another driving roll. The difficulty is going to be a 6. You have a -3.
Shit.
No.
Okay. Aaron, you can see what's happening. He's losing control. You're going under the train. Talix. What do you do? Not Aaron. Talix.
So our car is going under the train.
It's going under the train, kind of sideways, and you can see the track. And if he hits that track, there's a chance this thing rolls. It doesn't look good.
Could I try to maybe help him steer? So maybe take the wheel and help him go straight?
I don't know if you can do that. This may be a save yourself kind of thing. You're going under the train. You could maybe jump up and grab the underside of the train, or you can, just hope for the best.
Well, if there's nothing I can do to help,
If you want to help, I'll let you help, because there is a way out of this.
She can do the mom arm.
If you want to try and grab the wheel, we'll do a roll. And if it'll give a boon to Danville, and if you can succeed on this, you're going to barrel roll that vehicle back onto the wheels, but you'll be on the other side of the train. It would be epic. So the roll you're going to do, it's going to be a strength roll. So you can do athletics, strength, or which you have a better bonus if you just do strength. You need to beat a 6.
So just a strength roll?
Yep, strength roll. Target number is 6.
Oh no.
Okay, let me have the two of you give me a dexterity or athletics dexterity, if you have it, roll to see if you are ejected from the vehicle. Talix, you are not, but Danville, you actually get thrown from the vehicle. And you're going to take some damage. You're going to take 6 damage. So the way that damage works is it'll come out of your pools, so your strength, dexterity, and endurance, those are like your hit points. So you have 19 hit points. They typically will come out of your endurance first. So I'm actually going to give you 6 points of damage to your endurance. Now that just changed your endurance modifier to -2. And then as you heal, that will go back up. If one of your stats reaches 0, then it starts coming out of another one and then another one. If you have 2 stats that are 0, you become unconscious. If you have 3 stats that are 0, you're dead. So you're pretty badly beat up, but you're still alive. You're not unconscious. Your vehicle rolls and spins and rolls, and Talix, you're still in there. You kind of tuck and roll, and you're getting thrown and battered about. You're going to take some damage. You're going to lose... Oops, that should be 1d6. Sorry, let me re-roll that. You're going to take...
Go with the 2.
3. You can take 3 damage, so still not bad. Let me give you that to your endurance. Perfect. You just lost your endurance modifier, but you're both still alive. To get your vehicle righted, you're both going to have to see if you can fix it and hope it's still operational. Or, Jamie, you see this happen. It's in front of you. You see them go under, then you see the vehicle go sideways, and that's it. Do you try to save them, or do you stick with the mission?
Absolutely. I think we can catch back up to the train if we need to. We've got a whole half an hour that it was half an hour, right, that it was going to be in the storm.
Yep.
So I definitely whack on the brakes and come down to see. Maybe I even land next to it so that we can help up right it if needed.
Give me one of those flyer rolls. You need to beat only a 4 on this one. And that's just because you have to go under the train unless you want to brake and go behind the train. Oh yeah, you got it.
Go under. We've already done it once already.
You kind of know the feel. You dart under that train and head back, and let me have Aaron give me a sensor check to try and find where they landed, because you're in the middle of a storm. You need to get a 6 on this sensor check.
Sure. Yeah.
You missed it by 1.
Quite.
So it just takes you about 5 minutes to find them. So the train is getting further and further away. But you managed to find them. They are pretty badly beat up. The gecko looks like it's a little trashed. The gun is all bent out of shape. The gun is no longer operational. You'd have to roll this thing over. It looks like it could run, but it's pretty badly damaged. It may not get full speed. So it may be easier if you all just take the air raft.
We'll jump on.
You guys hop onto the air raft. and you book it to try and catch up with the train. Let's go back to the train.
Plan B. that was Plan B. We just left it behind.
8.5. Yeah. Good thing you brought 2 vehicles. All right, Randall, you are in the fresher, and you've reached Miranda on comms. She's making her way down towards you. Do you stay there until she meets up with you, or do you come out?
Was Randall able to pack anything in the cargo compartment as far as equipment goes?
Sure, absolutely. With the clearance that you had, yeah, almost no questions asked. You could have loaded some cargo. Certainly some some luggage or some gear, things like that.
So his main priority was getting a stun grenade aboard.
Okay.
Kind of knowing that they'd be outnumbered, having 2 people kind of try and take on 4 on the inside. So he's gonna try and make his way towards the cargo compartment. First, he's gonna go ahead and flood this toilet too.
Nice. Go ahead and give me the roll for that. It's like Jack the Ripper, but you're plugging toilets in here. Oh yeah, you're skilled at this. Just how much to grab. Yeah, so it was a lower difficulty, so you succeed. Stuff it in there, start flooding it. You're splashing some water so it's coming out from under the door. And as you step out, the security guard gives you just this incredulous look like, seriously? What did you do?
I need to get my IBS medication. It's in the cargo.
Ooh. No. Give me a roll for that. That's going to be either deception or persuade. I'll let you choose. And you can use your social on that. Need to beat a 6.
Didn't it?
Got it. Nice. So even with your -3, you got it. He's like, fine. Just you could have a steward do this for you, but he lets you into the cargo hold. It's going to take you just a minute to find your stuff, but you know what the bag looks like, and they have this sorted so that the luxury car's stuff is in the first car. By the time you find this, Miranda, you've made your way down to just outside the car here.
Mm-hmm.
So, Randall, you've got the stun grenade. Miranda, as you open that door, you see that there is a security guard in the hallway. Let me pull another of your tokens here. So you're up here in this car. And there's a security guard here. And he looks at you, sees that you're in the engineer's clothes, and he says, well, that was fast. Toilet down at the end is blocked, apparently. Are you here to fix that?
Yup.
All right. And he lets you pass. You make it down to the bathroom. You go in and you see Randall's dirty work, even though it's clean. You see what he's done in there. Meanwhile, the other engineer is radioing you. Hey, I need you up here. We got heavy storms. We got lightning coming. We're losing sensors. We don't know what's out there.
You don't know what's in here. It's really bad, man.
I'll take your word for it. Just hurry up when you can.
Yep, try my best.
Jamie, give me another flyer roll as you catch up to the train. This will have a -2. You need to beat a 6.
Me again.
Yep.
Apparently this name's
Jamie,
not selling for me. Okay, what am I doing? I'm doing another fly.
Fly roll. Yep, with a -2, you need to beat a 6. No, you're booking it, but you're not able with the added weight. Now you're having a hard time getting up to speed. And you're not going to be up there by the time Randall has his stun grenade. which is right now. Randall, you've got the stun grenade. Aaron, give me a sensor check as you're trying to track the train.
Sure. Nowadays, these air rafts bring on everything: sonar, radar,
Electric toothbrushes.
toothbrush.
Oh, you got it. So yeah, you detect the train. It's about a kilometer ahead of you, and you know it'll just be a matter of time before you get there. You've got about maybe a minute before you overtake the train. And this is about the time that, Randall, you've got the stun grenade and anything else you might have had in your bag. I think you mentioned an extra filter mask.
And a electronic pulse generator, if that would have made it through as well.
Yep, absolutely. What do you do with that?
He's gonna try and calm his the people outside of the train, and see if any of them pick up.
You'll be able to broadcast this no problem, but this is going to be a check for the people on the train. This is going to be a electronic comms roll. If anyone, I think Aaron has a 0. If anyone has better than that, electronic comms that's on the train or on the air raft. He's good at computers, but a 0 on comms. Yeah, so either Jamie or Aaron make a comms
Aaron,
roll.
do it.
Difficulty's going to be 8.
I'm rolling so bad. No.
You need to play Dragonbane today. You're rolling really low.
Oh, I know.
Thank you. Try.
You pick up a few words, but it's very broken. And so you pick up like every third word. It's Randall and something about package, toilet.
In position.
Yeah, in position. Hurry. You don't know what package, toilet, in position, hurry means, but those are the words that you pull out of there.
I'm not quite sure what Randall means, but if I can see the schematics, I don't know if I would have memorized them before we went on this mission. I guess I'd know where the fresher was.
Yeah, you would have had access to the schematics. You'd know where all the freshers are, all the rooms, everything.
So
I think that's probably where I would direct us.
Yeah. Okay.
So try to aim kind of in between the 2 cargo cars and Tanlin's car.
Mm-hmm. If there's an emergency hatch there somewhere.
Danville, you're going to give me an electronic computers roll. I'm going to see if you can handshake with the train computer from here as you get close. That may give you access to the storm doors, to a few things. It's basically like a hacking roll. See if you can hack in and maybe change things a little bit. Maybe you can even kill the lights or something.
Alrighty.
Difficulty 8.
No, not quite.
Oh, well, you got it. So with your education and your computer skill, you got it. So by the skin of your teeth. So it was only your education and skill that got you. It was not, cracking your knuckles and thinking, I know how to do this. You think back like, I learned something about this in school. You get in and you trigger an override and you have service access. So this is like if you were an engineer working on the train, you've got access to certain elements of the train. You don't have total control, but you do have access to things like the air circulation, the lights, limited access over safety features. You can slow down the train. That can be overridden from the inside. All of these things could be overridden from the inside. There is access to open the blast windows.
Oh, yeah, it'd be nice if we had the gecko still.
Mm-hmm. That is a smoldering pile of wreckage behind you. Do you want to do anything with this access to the computers as you begin to catch up? You can now see the train. You're maybe 100 meters behind it, rapidly gaining.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything I could do that's particularly helpful, besides for being a nuisance to the staff. which, you know.
As
He couldn't lock the airlock doors between carriages or anything like that.
you could, yeah. So this is part of this security feature is like if there's a biological leak or something, chemical leak, you can lock those airlock doors.
But so Miranda's in that back carriage, but we don't.
You don't
where's
know that.
Randall?
Yeah, you don't
We have
know
no
where
idea
they
what
are.
No, we don't know where they are. Yeah, so if
If
we
it's
lock a
here
door,
in
we might
position.
lock them on the wrong
Yeah.
side.
We could just as easily screw them as the guy we're
Yeah.
going after. We don't know.
And can't blow an emergency hatch or anything like that from there? Probably
You
not.
you can't. That could be overridden. I mean, anything you do can be overridden by people on the train. You would have
Yep.
access to the airlock hatches in case of emergency. So you could open an airlock hatch between.
Okay, but that would
the
probably
cars.
ring a bell,
Yep,
and our Mr.
undoubtedly.
Navy guy up the front will know immediately that that's happened, right?
Yep, undoubtedly.
But someone's going to have to do that in a minute if we're going to get in, unless we're going to try to come through a window, which would mean that I've got to hover next to the window of the plane of the train.
And that's going to be a roll to do that. In fact, you're coming up alongside the train. Which car are you wanting to get up next to? You know that the target is supposed to be in this car. You don't know if he's moved. You don't know where your teammates are. He's supposed to be in that car, third from the end.
Right. Wave at some kids looking out the window as we go past. Hello!
Mom, there's a car out
Right.
there. Sure, whatever there is. Shut up. This will be a fly grav roll with a -2. Difficulty is 6 to get it alongside car F here.
Is that where we're trying to be, though?
If
Do
that's
we
where you
wanna
want to be, or do you want to be further
Everybody
up?
needs to. Everybody needs to advise me at this point. Do we want to be in where Skylark Tanlin is, or do we want to be, one side or the other? But we don't know that they're either side, do we?
Nope.
So I guess we just have to go for. All right, we'll go for the carriage where our goal is. So, because we know where he is.
Can I check the columns again?
Yep, you sure can. Give me a comm roll. I'm gonna move you guys down to here.
No. The storm just seems to be getting worse. I can't
Yeah, you still
get any
can't.
signal through.
Oops. You still can't pick up anything from there.
Can I get some help from somebody who's going to, as I'm flying in, they're going to tell me how close I am and so on. So they're going to keep an eye on the side of the flyer as it's coming in really close to the train to help kind of guide me into the correct spot. Speed up a bit, slow down a bit left, bit right.
Danville could definitely do that. So you can use your drive skill for that. Give a drive roll, and your difficulty here is a 4. And is a -2 because it is in a storm, but you're trying to give directions to help guide in and get close. Nailed it. Perfect. This is going to give a +2 bonus to anyone trying to board, which is going to be jumping across or jumping on, as you get the air raft positioned perfectly. Now, do you want to be alongside one of the windows, or do you want to be alongside the airlock?
Well, I ask the others, airlock or window?
I think it's your choice. You tell me where, Tina.
Well, there's no point doing it to a window unless we can blast it out. So I guess we head for an airlock.
Does anyone on the air raft have the explosive charges?
I have plastic explosives.
There you go. Do you want to try and blow the window?
There you go. Yeah, go on, let's blow the window.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, to use your plastic explosives, that uses the explosives skill. Your plastic explosives, let's see, you multiply the damage of the explosives by the effect of the check used to set them. So, it's not like it's going to fail, it's just whatever your effect is, your difference from 8 is a modifier to the damage. So go ahead and make an explosives check with use your dexterity for that.
I have a -3 in explosives, so could I like give them to someone else and they could do it? That's better at explosives.
Well, you could. Aaron might be better at it with Jack of all trades.
Iron would be a -1.
Be a -1, so Aaron might be the best with the explosives. So it's explosives and use your dexterity on that. Okay, so it's going to be a -1 to the damage. Ooh. Okay, I was going to say you had to do at least 10 points of damage. You did 16. So you blow the blast door off, and when it catches the wind, it whips terrifyingly close to those in the air raft. In fact, Jamie/Tina, that's going to be an evasive maneuver. I need a flyer grav roll with a -4 penalty. Need to beat a 6.
My God, I'm already rolling so bad. Exceptional failure.
Everyone on the air raft, give me a dexterity roll to not fall out. Difficulty 6.
Really need some seatbelts in this thing.
Okay. Talix, you're the only one that stays there. The door slams into Danville and Aaron. Danville and Aaron will take damage. Four points of damage to Danville and Aaron, so let me apply that. Okay, so that's gonna wipe out Danville's endurance, and then 3 to Dex. And Aaron is going to be 4 to endurance. You're just fine. But Danville he's hanging in there, but he can't take much more. And then Jamie, you get... Yeah, you're going to... Okay, same thing. Let's first give you some damage. So 4 damage to Jamie, and you lose control. You actually get knocked off of the steering column here. I'll give you 4 damage.
Ooh, that's bad.
So, Talix, you're the only one that succeeded. As that door comes off, you can feel the raft pulling away. It blew the window out. It's broken glass. Looking in, you see a shocked director, what's his name? Tanlin, standing there looking, and he's got his hands over his ears at this blast, and he's looking out at this hellscape of lightning and dirt and dust and this air raft right there. You can see there's a security guard in the room with him, and beyond there's some windows. You see another security staff. You don't see the security staff down here.
And I also don't see
You don't see your companions.
Okay.
You can leap across in there. Otherwise, the air raft is going to be veering away from the train, and it will take some time to get it back under control. Do you take this chance to leap across? You will get a bonus from before. It was a +2 bonus to this if you want to try and make that jump. If you want to make the jump, it's going to be an athletics roll, which you have a 0 in, so that's good. And your dex is +1, so you'd have a +3.
Yeah, okay.
You're going to leap across?
Yeah.
Do you have a gun out?
I would assume so. I would have a gun out.
Okay. Give me that roll to leap across.
Oh my god.
Okay. You make the jump. And as you leap, it's almost like, time slows down, and you're leaping and you're jumping, and the wind is catching you, and you've noticed that the distance is slowly increasing, and as you come down, you reach out a hand and you grab onto the bottom of the window. It's broken glass, and it slices deep into your hand. You will take some damage, but you have managed to hang on. 1 point of damage. You can survive that. Take a little damage. But you are now hanging from the train by one hand, the other hand holding your weapon. Miranda, you hear this loud booming sound and the high-pitched crackle of breaking glass, and then the rushing of air coming from the large conference room just to the north of you. What does Miranda do?
She's gonna run toward the noise.
There's a security guard in the way. And he says, "Stay here. There's trouble ahead."
It's as chief engineer, it's my job to know what's wrong with the train. I'm coming with you.
Give me a persuade roll. You need to beat a 4 because you dropped your title here, and he has to respect that.
Heck yeah. Respect the title, sir.
Oh, just barely.
Ooh.
He says, "Yeah, quickly, come with me." And he goes into the room, and he takes you into the room with him. And you can see this window over here is just shattered out. Now, Randall, you've got your stun grenade, and you come back into the room. You hear the blast as well. As you come in, you can around the corner. There's a security guard, and they have all but forgotten about you. And he has a weapon out, a little auto pistol out. You don't see Miranda, but you can hear a great sound coming from that conference room where Tanlin was, and you think your team has breached the window. What does Randall do?
Randall, he spots that guard at the end of the hallway. Is his attention kind of focused on that room? Does it look like he's moving into there?
Yeah, he's not paying any attention to you. He's coming in to help secure Tanlin and make sure he's safe.
All right. Randall just waited out kind of for that guard to enter the room, and then he's going to kind of rush up to the entrance to that room as well and try and peek inside just to get the view inside the room.
So you don't even need to peek. It's big glass doors that slide open like French doors, and inside there's broken glass. The papers are just billowing in the air. The window outside is open and breached, and you see a bloody hand, fingers on the inside of the window hanging on. And Tanlin walks up to look at it, and the security steps and says, "No, sir, we'll take it from here." And they go to the window, and you see them holding guns, kind of looking out the window. They're having to shield their eyes. The air in here is not safe because they didn't have breather masks on. They were using the internal ventilation system, and so they're coughing and struggling, and you see Tanlin is starting to hack and cough as well. Now, Miranda, you're going to run into the same issue unless you would have your breather mask on you. You knew kind of what was going down. You can easily slip that mask on.
Yeah, that mask is going on.
So Miranda and Randall, I'm going to take your action now. The guards are kind of looking at Talix hanging from the window. You see Tanlin. The window is wide open. What does Miranda do? You're in the room first. If you want to act first, I'll let you go first.
Okay, so we don't see the team, but the window is open.
Yeah, the window's open, and you see a hand. Someone's hanging onto the window.
Oh, okay. I think it'd be helpful to grab the hand or to start manhandling Tamlin out of there.
Well, Randall, what do you think?
So Randall, hopefully he put his mask on, and he's just gonna toss his stun grenade. He's gonna try and throw it in such a way that it will be kind of blocked by the wall of the car, so that's not going to affect, the people that are looking in from the window. And as he tosses it, he's going to say, Miranda, eyes closed, cover your ears.
So the way that the stun grenade works, so it's going to be an athletics dexterity to toss it in there. It has what's called Blast 9. So it damages everything within 9 meters, which is going to be everybody in the room. I'll give Miranda it's kind of like it's not like a flashbang as much as like a shock, like a huge ball of lightning. It's going to get Miranda, but you kind of know it's coming, so I'll say it halves your stun damage. And Randall, you'll be okay. You can kind of stand behind the glass. The glass, electricity doesn't get through the glass, so you're going to be fine on that side of the glass window. It's also going to get Talix's hand. So, if you want to do it, go ahead and toss it.
Do it.
Yeah, he doesn't see any other way to kind of take care of all these guards.
It's a one shot.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah. Fine.
So athletics, dexterity.
We got to get this guy. So.
Okay. Oof.
Got it.
Oh, nice.
So, oh boy. So the way that, all right. So this says 3d6 damage. So let me roll the damage. Stun damage is special. Oh, it's not okay. So not bad. So 6 damage. So the way that stun works, it goes against your endurance. If your endurance hits 0, you're basically unconscious. So it's a lot easier to knock someone unconscious because you don't have to eat up their endurance and their dexterity, just their endurance. So Miranda, you take half. So you actually take 3. You had 4 endurance, so you are not unconscious. But you are badly wounded. Tanlin, he takes, let's see, he's got, okay, Tanlin is unconscious. And the security staff, they have 6. Okay, so all of the staff are unconscious. Tanlin is unconscious, and Talix, you take 6. That's 10. You have 1 endurance left because you had 11. So you are still conscious, but boy, did that sting. All right. Everybody, the 3 security and Tanlin, they drop. And Miranda, what's your action now? Randall tossed the grenade. Everyone gets stunned. Talix, you held on. Miranda, you can take an action.
I think
go back to the air raft.
First, Miranda's just gonna be like, "Ouch!" And then I think she's gonna, I guess, just head over to, what is his name? Talon?
Talix.
Talon. No, sorry, the guy
Tanlin?
we're supposed.
Director Tanlin.
Tanlin. There we go. Yes, she's gonna walk over to Tanlin and just kind of I guess, start lifting him up preemptively.
Nice. You scoop him up, kind of pick him up. You could throw him over your shoulder. He's 82. He doesn't weigh a lot. He's pretty small. Mm-hmm. It's like old Michael Douglas or something. Just pick him up, hoist him around. Let's go back to, and you're standing there by the open window. Let's go to Talix first. So you're hanging from the window. If you want to pull yourself up, that's a strength roll. You'll have a -2 unless you drop your weapon and use your other hand.
I don't want to drop my weapon. I think I'll just go straight.
Okay, -2. That's strength. Need to beat an 8.
So do I need to put the -2 in somewhere?
Yes. So it'll have a DM. That's your
Okay.
dice modifier.
Got it.
Oh, just missed it. You would have made it without the -2. You start to pull yourself up. You can't quite get in. The wind is buffeting. Your hand is just sliced. It's taking everything you have just to hold on. Jamie, Tina, you're in the air raft. Everyone has gotten slammed and smashed, but you've got it back under control. You're kind of far from the train, but the mission comes first. We can have Aaron on sensors try to pick up the location, the train again, and if you can pilot yourself over there, whatever bonus Aaron gets will be a bonus to your flyer roll. So we'll do Aaron first if you want to do a sensors roll.
Sure.
Difficulty. Ooh, you got it. So a +2 on your flyer roll, Tina. You get
Should
close.
not be piloting this vehicle.
You get close. You're right up by the train. Part of the problem is, as you get up there, there's bits of paper and debris flying out of that room, and you get close and close enough that you can see Talix hanging by the window, and you can see Miranda with a bundle over her arms. It looks like a person's legs. Maybe she's got someone over her shoulder. And you see Randall as well. They're both standing by the window. Randall's waving you over as quickly as he can, but you're a little hesitant to get over. And with the buffeting, you know that one wrong move, you're going to slam right into that train.
Jamie's got skills in deception. I think she's been deceiving herself that she can fly this thing.
If you want to, you know what? Sometimes in life you have to do that. You have to, it's the imposter syndrome, and maybe you're dealing with some of that right now. So give me that deception roll, and whatever your effect is, I'll let that modify your next pilot roll as you tell yourself, like, Jamie, come on, you never said you were the best. Ooh.
She can't even succeed at convincing herself at this point.
So you'll have a -2 on this roll. Just don't fail this by too much. Don't get a -3.
You hear this, dice? You hear this?
And tell you what, you've got people kind of directing you over. Danville's probably like, a little closer, a little closer. That's going to give you a boon on this.
Okay.
Is he not unconscious? I think he is.
Oh, is Danville unconscious?
Well, he's out of endurance.
No, he's so if your dex was 0, you would have been unconscious. So if 2 of your 3 stats hit 0, you're unconscious. Okay, you didn't get a -3. So that's close enough. You bang into the side of the train. Ooh, does that crush Talix?
Oh my gosh.
No, I don't think so. So you get close enough. Maybe that's what the difficulty is he's in the way and you don't want to crush him. But Danville and Aaron reach over and pull Talix back into the air raft, and then Randall and Miranda pass Director Skylark Tanlin over to the air raft as well. And as you veer off into the dust storm, taking the most direct route you can away from this accursed train, you look over at this old man, and he is just quietly sleeping, looks comfortable, looks as though he, maybe he's dead, you're not sure, but there's definitely signs of breathing, but he is clearly stunned. And the scene fades as you all look at each other. Some of you have blood on your face. You got some bruises. You're battered a little bit. Danville's hat flew off again, but he pulls out his third and final replacement. This one has like a big feather on it. Just really, this is his victory hat. It's not like a victory cigar. He's got a victory cowboy hat. Puts it on, gives a little yeehaw, and you head off out into the darkness. Eventually, you meet up with Ada to deliver Tanlin. She has parked her ship, the Aurora's Fortune, amidst a forest of half-buried skyscrapers, still reaching to the heavens, centuries after the megacities that built them are dust. She congratulates you and pays the promised 100,000 credits. She also produces a 300-year-old bottle of Dranaxian champagne to toast your success, as her people take Tanlin to the brig. Then, gathered on the cramped bridge of her ship, she makes you another offer. For too long, the Federate has oppressed my people. They rule with an iron fist, keeping citizens in line by controlling the limited supplies of water, which they drug to keep people complacent and happy. 30 years ago, GDCO approached them offering a deal, infrastructure and trade at bargain prices. The princes of the Federate refused. The only trade they agreed to was to line their own pockets. So that was the deal GDCO made. Well, I want to offer the terms of that deal. I want you to break into the GDCO offices at Senlis Station and swap the contract data with the forgery we're going to produce from Tanlin's biometrics. Then I want you to do the same with the records kept on Senlis in the princely palace itself. If you pull it off, when the contract shifts to Phase 2 in a few months, GDCO will have full access to distribute water to the beleaguered people of my world. They'll be able to break free from the tyrant's grasp. And if Senlis refuses, well, GDCO is a power in its own right, isn't it? Either way, you'll be the richer for it. What do you say? And that's where it ends. That ends the session as she prompts you with perhaps future employment. But you've got your credits, you've got your money, you got the mark that you were after, and you celebrate at the Albi Highport with champagne and probably some bandages for Talix's hand. That thing's never going to work right again. And that is your first Traveler adventure. Congratulations. So with Traveler, as far as experience goes, there's an optional rule in the Traveler's companion. It's kind of an alternate or optional rules that I think is much better. You're awarded 1 experience point per session, and you need to allocate that right away. So you can spend 1 experience point to take a skill from unskilled, which would be the -3, to level 0, or 1 point to go from 0 to level 1, or you could say, well, I want to put this on this other skill, and to go from like level 2, or to go from level 1 to level 2 would cost you 2 points, from 2 to 3 would cost you 4, 3 to 4 cost you 8, and so on. And so that's how you would level up, is just slowly gaining skills. And a lot of GMs will say it needs to be a skill that you actually used, Tina's character learned a lot of, flying skills by her, attempts, some successful at flying, but like you didn't do anything like, steward, so you probably wouldn't learn any stewarding. However, an argument could be made for Randall for stewarding, because he did interact with the steward, and maybe he knows a little bit more about that. Anyway, that's how the improvement would work. For the one shot, we won't worry so much about it, but Traveler is definitely a campaign game. It's the long game that you might play, but the one shots are a great way to do it. So anyway, I want to thank you all for playing. I had a blast. I love Traveler. That was super fun. Any questions about the game before we close off? Awesome. You guys did it. You got the mark. It was not easy. Definitely went to plan C.
Literally everything was wrong.
But, when in doubt, throw a stun grenade. So
I was lucky you did that, though.
I thought Randall and Miranda were going to start pushing the security guards out the window, is what I thought they were going to do. So the stun grenade was just as good. So fantastic. Awesome. Well, I've recorded the session. I'm going to post that on the YouTube channel here shortly, and look forward to playing with all of you again soon. I know I've got some of you in games on Friday and next Saturday and next Sunday. And Alex, great playing with you again. I'm looking forward to Vason here in July. That's coming up soon.
Yes, can't wait.
So yeah, it'll be fantastic.
Woo.
Looking forward to that one.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for playing Traveler with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.